Welcome everybody to the New York Jets Danger Zone. We got live tonight, Friday night, like usual. We got Murph in the house. We will be making a list and ranking them of the most disappointing Jets this year. So, sound off. Let us know who you think shit the bed. Without further ado, let's hit that intro.
You're in the danger zone.
I love the show. I love you guys. Fucking, let's go Jets. Jets, Jets.
No, I'm beating you with my mind. And I can still dominate, I think.
Dane, you're a legend, bro.
There we go. What's up, dude?
What's up?
Dude,
doing?
oh, you know what I forgot? But for Christmas, I got like a desk toy thingy, and it's one of these guys. So
Are you serious?
I gotta find a way in the back to get it set up, man. What's up,
That would
man?
be
How,
good.
how are you doing, man?
Oh, dude, I'm wonderful. It's a feel good Friday. Sitting here with some brewskis and sitting here with some good people to chat with, and and then there's you, of course. But
Facts.
yeah,
Sean, what's up, man? I see Sean in the chat, dude.
yeah,
If you're down there, hit the like button. We appreciate you, man, because it's kind of scarce out there on Friday nights. So the more thumbs, man, the more hopefully eyes. Eyes or thumbs turn into eyes. So we like eyes. But I'm sure you guys saw it on the thumbnail. I love throwing those together, by the way, every week. This week we're going to be talking about the most disappointing Jets, and we're going to do a show that's the opposite. Might not be as long of a list, but we owe it to the channel to do both. But tonight we're just doing disappointing, and I think that's a little easier for people, to be honest. But what about you? Do you think this is going to be challenging for us?
I think the opposite will be challenging for us. I think this one was the only thing that was challenging about this was narrowing it down to five. you know, that's what's going to be tough. But I'm sure we'll be able to discuss a lot of them. I'm sure the chat's going to have plenty of them to throw at us. Guys, don't be afraid to get in there and let us know, maybe a dark horse candidate on somebody that you've been disappointed in, this season. But man, it's this was an easy one. It was just tough to narrow it down, is all.
You know what? And don't get it twisted. Like, we're not just talking about the five worst players on the team, because that's not the same thing. When I think disappointment, I think of your expectation compared to your performance. Like, you know what I mean? What did we think you'd do versus what did you do? The difference, you know what I mean? And I think people will understand that, but it's not just the five worst, although they may be the same list. I'm not sure, but we'll get into it. How was your New Year?
Just another day. New Year to me is like the worst holiday. It's the most boring. Like, I'm not interested in watching the ball drop. I'm not going to stay up late enough to do that. I already have Dano keeping me up till midnight on Friday nights. I don't need to do it on a random Wednesday or whatever
Facts.
when I got to go back to work on, but Tuesday, I guess it was. But yeah,
100%. It's
I don't
it's
know.
not that's the one holiday you can't just say, "Hey, I'll celebrate it on the weekend." Like, you can do that with some other holidays. Let's put it that way. You kind of got to do it, and when it's a Tuesday, like you said, it kind of makes it hard. I see some others in the chat. Welcome, Clancy. I see you, brother. New York Jets super fan, Sean. The crew is The crew is coming, and we were a little late.
Hey,
so
Yeti was in here first too. I got to give him his props.
Facts. Because you know what? If you chat before the show, it actually doesn't show up where I'm looking. So, good call there. Real quick before we do get into it, I'll repeat this later, but every week toward the end of the show, we've been going around the league and picking all of the game winners we expect throughout the league. It's about the only thing we do that's non-Jet related. We've been doing it a couple weeks now. Last week was the closest it's been, so I just wanted to shout out the following people. Now, you may not have guessed every single game, and if you missed a few, that it's gonna suck. You won't have as many wins, obviously. But of the people, well, this is how many you had correct. 10 games. Actually, everyone got the Lions game, so add 1 to all these. So 11 games correct. Scott Foster, Daniel Murphy. And we did a tiebreaker. We'll get into that. But Scott and Daniel both had 11 right. 10 right, Clancy and me. Jerry had 9 right. That's still good. And then Stack, you had 8. There was, again, others that had less. They may not have guessed all the games, but...
I think Snowball had like -3, right?
Snowball had, I think, 1 maybe. Yeah, he was a clever one. I missed a chat he said last week. He said, you know what, I'm going to do the opposite or something. So literally every single game he picked the opposite. It's like, damn, man. He might have been pretty good if he stuck with what he thought. Anyways, Scott, you, me, Clancy, Jerry, and Stack. Shout you out. See how you guys do this week, next week, whatever. We'll figure that out. But good job last week, that's all. We do have some people in the chat already. I wanted to give them a minute to file in. That way we could get their takes on disappointing players. Do you want to maybe throw, I guess what I'm going to do is collect names now, and then we can work on ranking them together along with them. But just suggestions. I'm gonna scour the chat and see if anyone has a player they want on the list to be ranked. If you have one you want to throw out, whether it's a dark horse or an obvious, feel free, man.
Man, there's so many, but one guy that I didn't want to get overlooked in all of this, and some people probably adamantly agree with me, and some of them probably vehemently disagree with me. I think Scott might be on that disagreeing side. I'd like to hear his take on that later, maybe if he pops in. Aaron Rodgers has been a disappointment. And I know I'm coming out with the guns blazing, but that's just one that I don't like. Some people just think that he's done nothing wrong, and it's just the team and the coaching and things like that. And there's some games you could say that, but what is he? He's double-digit picks this year, right? And not all of them are his fault, but every quarterback has that problem. Every quarterback has balls deflected and stuff, and that reflects on their interception stat. I don't know, man. I know a lot of us were saying that all we need from Aaron is to come in here and be average, and this team can carry him to a Super Bowl, and a lot of us believe that. I was one of them, but I didn't mean for him to actually come in and be average. I didn't actually expect that. I expected maybe not elite, like Aaron Rodgers of the past, but I expected a very good Aaron Rodgers, and he hasn't been very good. He's been average, maybe.
It sucks because it seems like a lot of his games were boom or bust. And I was really hoping for just a steady above average. Now, also, I want to give him a little bit of credit because, like, we were expecting him to not have to carry us. So, like, that steady above average should have been enough. We never got that, so that's irrelevant. But we did need him to carry us quite a bit of this season. And not only didn't he, but he didn't at a large rate. And I find that crazy. I would have mortgaged my house saying that he would have at least just single-handedly won 6-7 games. The fact that we're
Yeah.
sitting here with 4 wins is alarming. And first guy shouted out a few times already, I think was a big cause of that, and that's Tyron Smith, definitely going on this list.
Yes. Yes. That to me, if I know we'll get into the point of ranking him later, but he's got to be high up on your list. Like he's got to be close to number one on your list because even everybody knew about the injuries with Tyron Smith. That was never the debate. We all knew, like, okay, we're hoping we get a good 10 or 12 games out of him this year and hopefully playoffs, Nobody expected him to come out and look like booty cheeks, dude. Like nobody, because even last year, like, yeah, he had some injuries and stuff, but when he played, he still played really well. Totally different. Like, I don't know what it is, man. Does Dallas have like some kind of magic potion that they feed their O linemen and they all just perform well over there? Is that what's going on? And he just doesn't have that anymore. I don't know. Maybe he's got
That
Michael's secret stuff down there. I don't know what's going on, but he comes here and he's just a shell of his former self, man. I mean, guys just blowing by him like
whiffing. Like I
yeah.
never. What was the thing with him? It was, oh my God, he might only give us 4 games because of injury. Like, I think I would have preferred him to give us 4 games that were great, and then we would have moved to Olu and we would have never looked back. But like him being booty cheeks, plus a big enough name that you have to just let him continue playing. What he played 14 games, 12 games, like. But I also think some of the blindside whiffs that he had that just obliterated Aaron weeks 3, 4, 5, I think literally wrecked our whole season.
Yeah, I mean, it was to the point where we wish he would have only played 4 games. You know what I mean? Like we were, not that I want to wish for somebody to get injured, but sheesh, man, like you kind of wonder maybe things would have played out a little differently if Olu had been starting earlier. I don't know. And honestly, I mean, Olu's been solid, but I don't think he's been like great. I think he's been, good for a rookie, like, But yeah, so Tyron, that's a big one. I can throw names for days. You want me to keep going?
Let's see the chat. I know they might have had a few. Oh yeah, someone said Hassan Reddick. Thoughts on Hassan?
That's actually funny. I had him right up there at number 2 on my list, Hassan Reddick. And I understand like the holdout and stuff, like even without thinking about the holdout and how much of a disappointment that was, like early in the season, ever since we've had him, what's he's done? I mean, I've seen him in the backfield a couple times. I haven't really seen him do much though. You know, I
0 sacks.
I know.
0.
It's crazy, and we needed him more than ever after JJ went down.
In
So
fact,
huge disappointment.
he did allow us to cut Clemens' snaps way back. Like Clemens went from 70% down to like 45. However, dude was terrible. He's clearly out of shape too. But I think not only 0 sacks, but only 2 tackles for a loss. Like, ugh, just bad, man, bad. And we traded a pick and we gave him money. Just abysmal, man, abysmal.
Yeah.
What do you think of this notion? Bobby's Butternuts wants to know, should we include coaches and GMs? And I don't mind. I do want to keep the list to 10, though. But if I'm open to it, if you are.
Okay, so I didn't include it on my list, but
Right?
yeah, I mean you could include that, but it's just like all of them, you know.
Yeah.
Can you name me a coach that has performed at or above expectation? You know,
Yeah.
we only have
True.
one general manager, so and he
You could
brought us
probably
Hassan Reddick halfway through the season, so
facts and
you know,
Devontae. Like we kept pouring in. Frustrating, man. Honestly, you could make a 5-man list of coaches and GMs probably separately, and still leave a guy or two off. I would imagine. Um,
yeah.
Squad Stack says let's just pick a squad. The whole defense sucked. Speaking of defenses sucking, can I just throw this out here and ask how it's possible? I want your take on this.
That's our current defensive rankings. That's hard to believe.
The only thing I could figure is maybe our time of possession was higher than it's used to be in, and we kept teams off the field. But I'm 90% sure we had at least 2 or 3 400 yards games. So, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Well, I mean, because if you think about it, you think about the points scored against you, right? So the scoring being 21st, like that checks out, like that. It's, but I don't know. I mean, I guess defenses all around the league probably suck. Is that's got to be what it is. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying,
think
dude. That's why we need like a good offensive mind in here. Who cares if you give up 40 points if you're scoring 45? I mean, it just
fair.
that's the way this league is now, man. I don't know.
Let's see here.
There's been a couple guys in the chat bringing up
Help me out.
somebody that I really, really wanted to bring up, and I didn't think anybody would bring him up because I thought people would forget about him. But the leg, yes, that's it right there, Clancy, Greg the leg. He was on there. I because I wrote down five, my top five, and I had at fifth. Initially, I put Aaron there, and I was like, you know what? More disappointing than Aaron even was Greg the leg. So I actually took Aaron out and I put him as an honorable mention. Um, dude, how do we go from the last 2 years of him being damn near automatic to he can't make an extra point?
Uh, if I was his defense attorney, I don't know, man. Other than he lost his confidence, and you can't do that in New York because we will burn you at the stake and you'll never get it back because we are going to be on your nuts for until you just magically fix it. We are not going to build you back up and put you back together. You saw it with Zach Wilson. You saw it with Alan Lazard. And now you saw it with Greg Zerline. Like, you start looking like you got the yips, Xavier Gibson, whatever. Like, we are not going to make it easy for you to get it back. We aren't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And I'm not saying we should either. I'm just saying you got to figure it out on your own. I don't know if him going on IR was even going to help because I think you're going to need a whole off season, and even then you might have to relocate Greg before you're kicking good again.
Yeah, yeah. Put him in. Change his identity and everything, man. Like put him in Kansas somewhere. I don't know, but yeah, it's horrible. And I know kickers are weird. They're fickle, man. They sometimes they'll get the yips or they'll just have a really rough season out of nowhere. And sometimes they just come right back from it the next year and they're totally fine, kicking 90% or something. You know, it's it's pretty wild. But can you bank on that? Can you keep him around next year and bank on him making the comeback? It's tough, dude. I
Right.
mean, do you think that the Ravens should throw away Justin Tucker, even though he's had a rough season this season?
They haven't, although his highs have been higher than Greg's. And I don't know, man, because like when we're talking about disappointing, this dude literally choked away multiple games. that's different than just not getting a sack. You know, you literally lost a tangible amount of games for us this year. So like, he's signed through next year. I don't think we save very much from cutting him either. So it's like, it would be a huge win if he corrected it this offseason. Because otherwise, you're cutting him. You're saving what, maybe $1 million or $2 million, and then you got to go replace him. So like, you're sinking in more money to fix a problem that you already. So like, fingers crossed, but his form didn't even look the same. Like, you know, a Greg Z kick, it's up looping and it's got like a 10-degree fade where it goes toward the upright and it just curves right back in. Never saw it once all year.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, he's looked out of sorts since the preseason, so he is definitely on the disappointing list for sure.
Yep.
Um,
Ricky with a good fact here. He said, despite those numbers, I bet our red zone and third down D is probably dead last. Yeah, see, stats are very misleading sometimes, you know?
yeah, and then also a big issue too with our defense is all the penalties. I mean, we get some on the offense too, but the defense is just, my God. It's like every time that we do come up with a third down stop, there's a flag, and it's like, whether it's a false start or whether it's a pass interference call or whatever, and boom, first down. Speaking of pass interference calls, I'm gonna go into the next guy that I got going on here. And you could really argue either or, and I have both of them. But we're going to start with DJ Reed, who started this season phenomenally, actually. He looked like maybe the best corner in the league for the first, 3 or 4 games, maybe a little bit more. Second half of the season or so, dude, he has not been good. He's getting tons of penalties. He's getting cooked, dude. I don't know, man. And he's ready to head out. I mean, I saw something online where he's like, I'm just ready to hit free agency. And it's like, all
He,
right,
yeah.
see you, dude.
Interesting enough, that was one thing that we heard in the past week. Well, the interesting part is that it came from a Buffalo beat guy, and none of the Jets guys said it, which I find weird, but who knows? Maybe they had, maybe he was private and everybody was interviewing Aaron or something. But what's up, Adirondack? Good to have you, brother. I see JoJo in the chat. Welcome. I see you're one of the few guys from over on Twitter that are jumping in, and I appreciate you hopping in there, man. You got DJ Reed on the list. I'm gonna add the next guy, man. Ahmad Sauce Gardner. I saw a stat today where he has given up more yards given up when he is the nearest defender this year than years 1 and 2 combined. Yeah, it's a letdown year. I was expecting him to take a step. Dude, I was expecting him to have 3 picks. He was given a 5th grade quarterback interception, but he should have had 0 all year.
Yeah. To be fair to Sauce, that first 2 years he gave up nothing. So it's easy to beat that number, even combined. But he has not looked good. He hasn't looked himself this year. The tackling looks even worse than it did, his rookie year and so on. The coverage, he used to be so sticky at cover. I don't know, man. Like, even the closing speed doesn't look the same. I don't know, but
No.
he's always been a little grabby.
Yeah.
But he always knew how to grab just enough to get away with it, right?
Correct. Yes.
And it's like he's lost that thin line that he had. He can't figure out how to step back behind the line. I don't know. It's been
Uh,
really weird. How do you go from 2 first team All Pro seasons to being a mid at best corner?
JoJo, if this is Greg Zerline you're talking about, he gone. He gone. If you're saving $4.5 million, making him a post 6-1 cut, and I know you can only do that with 2 guys or whatever, do it with him. Lazard, man, you can just hang on to until then and cut him, or if not earlier, you're gonna save. A new regime is gonna cut a lot of guys, man, and
Yeah.
everybody wants that to happen, but be prepared because it might be a guy or two that you didn't want to go. So just know that it's gonna be for the betterment of us, whether you can see it or not. Greg Z, though, I think we can all get behind cutting him.
Yeah, and the thing, like my rule is, if you're paying them only like 3 million, and I know I'm saying only 3 million or something, that's a lot of money to like us, but like for in football terms, that's not a ton of money, right? So if it's a player that you're paying like under 5 million to, and they're just absolutely horrible and they're a net negative to the team, doesn't matter. Just get rid of them, dude. And because if you can pay somebody 800K for a year to come in and do the job better than that person, you're better off just doing that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And let me take it a step further. Like, that's if you're trying to, like, maintain the same thing. But if you're, like, to a point where it's like, fuck 2025, we're ripping up the studs. Like, how big of that guy's contribution to the team? How large is that compared to just wiping that position clean and just bringing in a cheap body? Like, I can't think of a guy off the top of my head. Kinlaw, like you just throw a guy $1 million or $2 million. Maybe not Kinlaw specifically, but like Xavier Gibson. These are guys that you're not gonna extend. You're not just cut ties, man. Move on. New direction. How about guys that do buy in to whatever the new regime is preaching? We're going to get into the new regime stuff, too. I mean, everybody's talking Vrabel right now. We're not blind to what's going on. We will hit that stuff. Just kind of like to hit some other stuff to give you a different style show every now and then, And this list is popping, man. We got Tyron Smith. We got Rodgers, Reddick, Zerline, Reed, and Gardner. I'm sorry. You know me. I got to put Brees Hall on this list, man. Do you disagree?
I do disagree that he's disappointing. I do agree with you that he's disappointing. I disagree that he's one of the top 5 most disappointing, or even, I don't even know if he's in the top 10. Maybe.
And I just threw up the stats, and it's just a broad view of what we are doing this year. Brees Hall, 819. I don't know off how many carries, obviously, but I wish that number was high. He's not going to get 1,000. To me, that's. I think a lot of us had him for 2,000, and he's got 819 plus 468. So what, 1290 or something. Yeah, I don't know, man. He's not going to get to 1,500, and that's disappointing to me.
Yeah, but I do think his workload isn't as heavy as it was last year. I would say something to think about too is that he has fumbled it more than he's been known for. In the beginning of the year, he didn't look explosive. He didn't look like he looked like he lost his vision entirely, like he didn't know where the holes were or anything. That seems to have improved as the year has gone on, but then his snaps have decreased as the year has gone on, or as the season has gone on. So it's kind of weird. I think he's still been effective. He's still a starting caliber running back. But he has been disappointing. I will agree with that.
And honestly, if his usage was a little more creative, like, I don't want to see him running between the hashes at all. And that's just me, but I think if you took away his A and B gap runs, I think his numbers would look great. I think we ought to stick to off tackle runs with him, maybe whams, pitches, sweeps. in addition to screen passes. Like he's a perimeter guy to me, and I wish he wasn't, because in year one I don't think he was. Year two even I don't think he was solely that. But this year I feel like he was only really effective outside of the B gaps.
I mean, I think he's done okay in the B gap, but the A gap is nothing. I mean,
Fair.
that's Braylon's, butter right there. But um, the thing about the B gap is you can kick it out. He can always bounce out. So that's why I'm like fine with that. I Yeah, man. I don't know.
We can have it. Hey, we can. Some guys, if we're doing top 10, 8, 9, 10, they're probably not going to be
Yeah.
crazy disappointing. I, c- I could definitely make a case for Brees to be fringe top 10 though.
He's probably fringe top 10. I do want to have Ricky brought up a point earlier. He mentioned that Quincy Williams wasn't what he was last year. Um, I don't fully agree with that. I mean, last year was a phenomenal year for him, right? Like it was excellent. This year it hasn't been quite as excellent, but dude, he's still making plays. Like our defense wouldn't have any energy if it wasn't for him, honestly. I mean, I guess Sherwood too, but the linebackers in general are the only thing that's keeping that defense with any energy at all, because they just look dead out there otherwise. Quincy's still shooting into the backfield on blitzes. He's still out there making plays, making big hits. I think he's still Quincy. I'm not going to put him on my list.
Yeah, you know what? I was bummed at seeing only 67 tackles, but like I do think also that he wasn't quite prepared to lose Mosley. And you got to figure Mosley. It might say that Mosley played like 5 games. He played full snaps in week one, and that was it. So Sco, nice to have you here, brother. 67 tackles. Dude, we were debating over the summer. Is this the year that Quincy topples CJ for the tackle crown? We were right, but like this isn't the way we thought it would happen.
So my theory on this is that Quincy, he's not that guy. Like Mosley was that guy, and Sherwood has stepped in beautifully for Mosley, and now he's that guy. Those are your I don't want to say last line of defense, but those are your guys that are just everywhere the ball is, making sure the tackle is made. God knows we don't have very many people that can tackle on our defense apparently, but Sherwood's done wonderfully as that. I think Quincy is strictly he's the playmaker of the defense, right? He's the guy you have all over the field. You just send them from different vantage points, whether it's blitzing or your coverage on a tight end or whatever. If you need somebody fast, that's your guy. That's your playmaker. Like he's going to make the big hits. He might even get a pick. He will get you 4 or 5 sacks in a year if you blitz him and stuff. Like he's the guy that you use in that type of role, where Sherwood is the strictly like that inside middle linebacker type that's always out there, always making sure that when someone gets past a defensive line, they're going down.
Would you call Quincy a tone setter?
Yes, that's basically where I'm getting at. Yeah.
Sherwood, by the way, Sherwood's getting a lot more PR. He did What's Your Why with the NYJ. Very good watch. He also was on the radio. If you've seen him, he had a radio interview with Jake Asman. Shout out Jake. And he did give Quincy his flowers in a lot of ways, but the way that caught me the most is he said that Quincy is downright way faster than him, and that Quincy he'd be top 5 in speed on the whole team.
Yeah,
which
I would
is
agree with
crazy.
that.
It's crazy because Sherwood was a safety converted to linebacker, and Sherwood said he's going to work on that this offseason. So you might see a faster Sherwood. I just hope he doesn't get thinner. to do that. But
I mean,
I hope
personally,
he's
whatever Sherwood's doing right now is what I want him to keep doing. You know,
yes.
don't change,
Yes.
don't try to make any changes. You're doing fine, buddy. Like,
I know early on in the year, though, he was graded as like one of the worst in coverage. But you can fix that without cutting weight and getting faster. So, and I think his numbers have come up. So, yeah, don't reinvent the wheel. I agree. So, Reed, we got is Clemens worthy of the list?
I really badly wanted to put him on my list, but then whenever I like stopped, took a step back, looked at the title for a second, five most disappointing Jets, I was like, no, we all knew Clemens was pretty bad, right? Like we knew going into the season that you shouldn't have high expectations for him. Hopefully he's just a guy that rotates in 20% of snaps whenever your guys are tired or something like that. Unfortunately, JJ went down early, so we've seen a lot more Clemens. And Clemens is like whatever the great value brand of great value brand, like double great value squared JJ. That's what he thinks he is, at least.
Yeah.
He's just he's not good. Although I
Clemens,
do want to say
he got exposed, man. You don't sign Reddick and then Jermaine goes down. Yeah, you got exposed bad. We got exposed too for having him that high in the pecking order. Go ahead.
yeah, that's just and that's something that the coaching staff has done that we've all bitched about. Like they found the guys that they like. It's like, oh, these guys practice hard, so they should be in the game. And it's like, not always, man, not
Yeah,
always. But
yeah,
I did want to say, like, this past game, he got a lot of flack, and even other fans of other teams have seen the video of him jumping on the pile or whatever. I had absolutely no problem with him doing that, and I don't see where in the world that's a penalty.
The only thing
I don't
I thought it
understand.
was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
The
It's just the way he
timing
did it was hilarious.
was it after, like, way after the whistle? That's where I could see a penalty. If it was within the confines of the whistle, it's not a penalty if you ask me. I don't know when the whistle was blown, but
If it was
that's
blown, it wasn't much before he did that. Like it was, yeah.
I
No, I
don't know
don't.
why. Why did he raise his hands?
I don't know. It was kind of weird, but he's just. I don't know. I actually, and that's the thing about Clemens is like you like the guy's mentality. Like you like that he wants to play. He does play hard. He's just not good at football. Like, and
I
he's
like
he's
the
bossy
idea.
and he's not very agile and stuff. But
The idea of Clemens, I
yes,
like. Clemens,
yeah.
I don't like.
Yeah, he's not afraid to jump into a dog pile because that's what that was starting to look like. I mean, I don't know. I guess dog piles aren't a thing nowadays, but back whenever I first started watching football, it happened all the time. There's always scrums, dude.
I don't. I don't mind him leaving. Like, I can't wait. He's one of the top on my list of outgoing, shoot to the moon guys. But one, like, reason is the Dion Dawkins stuff. Like, we can't have a guy that a division rival is he can clearly get in the head of anytime he wants. Like, you saw that first Buffalo game. Clemens lost that game single-handedly. Greg lost us 3. Clemens lost us at least 1, in my opinion. Uh,
It would
like,
be think about this a little differently. Take Clemens out of the picture, but picture that the Dion Dawkins thing. Now put Jermaine Johnson in that position. How different would you feel about it if it was somebody that actually performed well and was a good player on defense and it was just like a rivalry between the two? It's a whole different perspective. But because Clemens is bad, he get that whole thing has a whole negative aura about it. I love it because I want to like have rivals. Our team hates the other team, like the
yes,
long-term players of the other team hate the long-term players of our team and vice versa, and it's a dogfight, it's a rivalry, and sometimes they're getting into scrums and stuff. I love the idea of all that, but Clemens' play doesn't back it up, so it just makes it look
yes.
like an entire clown show. You know,
And I'm glad you mentioned that because it made me think of another nugget that I almost forgot, and that was Jermaine earlier, I think last weekend. It was talked about, like, him maybe wanting out as well, and he damn right, like downright said, "No, dude, I can't wait to get back there because I have more work to do." And
Yeah.
I was pumped to hear him say that. He said that on Twitter though, and I'm like, all right, this guy, he ought to be a team captain, man. He's gonna get there. I hope it's sooner than later. Nick,
Great.
what do you think of this list? Is there a guy on it that we're overlooking?
I was going to bring up another guy. He's a backup, so he doesn't get quite too many snaps, but he still is disappointing. When we drafted him, everybody was high on him. Hometown kid, Jeremy Ruckert. I was high on him. I thought he had all the tools to be good. I don't, you know, he hasn't quite. He hasn't been there, man. And even the blocking, which was supposed to be his forte, like he whiffs, more than you'd like to see. Whenever he gets going downfield, he can lay a safety out or something, that's fine. But you got to be able to engage your blocks, man. If you can't engage your blocks, because that's the biggest thing, dude. If you're blocking on a run play, if you engage a block for 2 seconds, if you're on the second level of the defense, that's all you need. Because that's all it takes for that running back to get past you. Once the running back's past you, that guy's not going to turn around and catch him. Not likely.
Right.
Not Brees, he wouldn't.
Yeah, I was just thinking Brees.
So, uh, so it's more important to do that than lay your guy out.
Dude,
And I think that's something he doesn't understand.
I never dreamed we would be dying for Kenny Yeboah to come back off of IR. Is like we were though, because our tight ends were that bad early on. Uh, some of our all 22 of them trying to block was horrendous. That Bates we got, terrible. And Ruckert was a large portion of that. Conklin, I can forgive Conklin because I swear, man, if you feed him targets, he can be an effective pass catcher for you. We just don't feed him targets.
Yeah. Conklin is not an elite tight end. I
No.
don't think I need to say that, but I'm just going to say that. So, like, we can't be disappointed with Conklin. We can't expect him to go out there and have like Travis Kelce numbers. He's not the guy that's going to go out there and be open on every play. And even when he's not open, he's going to out jump everybody to get the ball, and he's going to truck three dudes. That's not Conklin, man. Conklin is just a solid tight end. Like he's, a low end starter tight end, but like high end backup maybe or whatever. But he's a solid guy to have on the team, and that's what he's done, dude. He's just given us solid play. Like I have no problem with Conklin.
I think
He's exactly what I expected him to be.
in last year, I think his numbers fell in line with like 12th tight end 12. I think he's around there. Maybe 15th this year because he just was invisible for large portions. But shout out Conklin. If he catches one ball on Sunday, he gets an extra $250,000. So shout out to him.
Good.
And
I
I
hope he
wonder,
gets it.
did I wonder if that was why Tyrod was feeding him last week? But I'm not going to get into the conspiracies, man.
I mean, if you want to bring up Tyrod and conspiracies, you could sit here and be like, "Is Tyrod better than Aaron Rodgers?" Like,
Yeah.
I
Oh, dude.
don't know.
I
But
just left Twitter, and you know what they were debating on there? JJ McCarthy, which it's a debate right now, but there was a guy that had a strong take of how we get JJ McCarthy, and he said you gotta trade Sauce, and then we'll also flip their first round for our first round. So we're gonna get like pick 25. They're gonna get pick 7. They're gonna get Sauce. We're gonna get JJ McCarthy. What say you?
hell no, no, guys. JJ McCarthy, we don't know anything about this guy. He's never, played a. No, come on. Let's
That's
not.
a whole nother show, man.
Yeah, that's like playing the lottery, man. JJ McCarthy with Sauce, like, okay, yeah, he had a disappointing season, but he's got 2 All-Pro seasons to back his resume up, and he could very well step right back into next year playing just as good a ball as he did his first 2 seasons. very likely, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually kind of banking on it a little bit.
He needs 6 months off.
And then to drop that far in the draft, like how much draft capital that is to go from like
Yeah.
7 to 25.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
like,
Yeah.
come on, guys. No, we're not doing that.
Let me ask you this though: you're a Mountaineer fan. You watch a shit ton of Ohio State, like all them teams in that area. How many times did you see Michigan play when they had McCarthy? And what was your take on him? Would he be? Where would he be in this draft if he's coming into it healthy?
Oh man, he would probably be QB 2 or 3, I'd say, in this draft. I wasn't super impressed with him in college. The thing about his college career is they never relied on him. So you didn't know if he had that it factor really because they never needed him to. Like they just played good defense and had a hell of a running game, with Blake Corum and stuff. Like that's the thing about like Michigan whenever he was playing there. I don't know, man. Harbaugh just made it easy on him. And it's just like you don't know if he's going to produce in the NFL or not. He might not. I think he's a big wild card. I think him going to Minnesota and being coached, even if it's just for a year under Kevin O'Connell, that
A
helps.
healthy year. A healthy year.
Yeah, that
Like
helps. That helps a lot.
you'll
But
hear some people say, well, Jordan Travis was injured all year. There's no way he learned very much. And then turn around and say trade for J.J. McCarthy because he was with O'Connell for a year. It's like, bro, they either both learned nothing or they both learned everything. You can't have one. You know what I mean? But I, I don't believe they trade him for one because like even if you do roll with Darnold, I give him a 4 year deal, but I have an out after two, or I have an out after three, and then I'll eat that third year. Like we're seeing guys get cut with 5 years left on their deal. So why wouldn't they just sign Darnold and then say fuck it? I'll just throw away Darnold if I need to.
yeah, they're in an interesting situation over there. I would hate to be the guy that has to make that decision.
Would you compare it to the Falcons? I mean, let's say compare it to the Falcons 6 months ago.
Um, no, I think it's different. The Falcons, they just made a really weird move. Like them picking Penix when they did was just really weird because what they gave a 5 or 6 year deal to Kirk,
Yeah,
like
that deal
it
is
wasn't just a
astronomical, man.
it wasn't just a 2 year, it
Yeah,
wasn't just, they gave a commitment to Kirk. And then they made a big thing of it too when they got him in. They're like, "This is our guy. We want him to retire here." Kirk's saying, "I want to just like play out the rest of my years and retire here." And then they turned right around and drafted Penix. Like that's just a totally different situation. Like
yeah.
I think just
See, here's
the
my point
morals of
though.
it, it's different. Like in the way the team feels about it is going to be different. Like I don't know.
The only reason I brought up Atlanta is because Minnesota stumbled into this, yes, because they didn't expect Darnold to play this well. They drafted J.J. McCarthy before they knew that. However, Atlanta willingly chose this. They signed Kirk, and then they still drafted Penix. So, like, the idea that Minnesota can't go into next year with two quarterbacks, they can't give Darnold a deal and keep McCarthy. When Atlanta just drafted a guy at fucking eighth overall and willingly signed up for that, I'm just saying they can keep both, and it doubles your odds of one of them working out. One's 27, the other's what? Whatever. I'm just saying, like, if you want a quarterback for 10 more years, keep both. One of them will pan out.
Yeah, yeah. The problem is you got to worry about like is JJ like if you sign Darnold to a 3 year deal or something like that, is JJ going to be like, well, I'm not waiting 3 years, Like that's you gotta take into the human aspect of it, which is the problem with what you have with Atlanta because not only did they draft Penix eighth overall, but Penix was already an older quarterback too. On top of that, although I don't put too much stock into that because quarterbacks are playing till 40 and stuff nowadays. I think they gave that big year or that big deal to Kirk. So the plan seemingly was Kirk was going to start at least 2, maybe 3 years, and Penix was going to sit. And then they benched Kirk the first year into it. That's where it's just like crazy. I think
Agreed.
that's why the Vikings situation is totally different.
Fair. Okay, I sidetracked you.
Yeah,
I
we
did get
digress big time.
Jeremy Ruckert, though. Got him on the list. There's some spicy takes down there regarding the tight ends. I know Hazel said that Yeboah is trash as well. And I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying we were begging for him at one point of this year. But there's also a lot of Conklin. It's a polarizing topic, I should say. Infrared. See, Conklin has a newborn. Get that money, Conklin. Regardless, yay or nay, on the list to rank for our top 10 or not on the list, Tyler Conklin.
I personally wouldn't put him on there.
Okay, I like it.
I don't think he hasn't exceeded my expectations by any means, but he's not like disappointing to me.
And I think, dude, a lot of it boils down to Aaron Rodgers. Like, a lot of us were expecting 4,500 yards maybe, or at least a potent passing game from week 1 on. If that happened, I bet you Conklin's numbers would look damn good. Whether his blocking did or not, I bet his stats would.
Yeah, that's something you have to take in with receiving, like receivers or tight ends. Like, you have to take into the fact, is the passing game working? And it kind of has lately. Like, Aaron's been throwing like 300 yards a game and stuff like the last few games and stuff, but overall in the season it just hasn't looked good. So I can't put Conklin on the list. But there's somebody that Johnny brought up. We have a rookie that could be potentially on the list. What's going on, Jerry? What do you think about Corley? Has he been disappointing?
I didn't see Johnny said it. I did. Maybe this was responding to Johnny.
Oh, okay, maybe Scott put it first. I didn't see it.
So if we stayed in the third where we were and let him fall to us, my expectations would have been one thing. But the fact that we traded up, we traded up. And we put out there, not that, okay, he was wide receiver 4. I don't even believe that. But I do believe that we were trying to trade up even further. We were trying to trade up like midway through whatever round that was, second or third. That gave me expectations. Also, Saleh on the phone when we called him said, "Do we have a plan for you? We have a package for you." Well, even when Saleh was here, we didn't. We didn't show it.
No.
Were we saving him for this epic playoff run? I don't care. The fact of the matter is, we traded up to get him. I did establish, and we're talking disappointing, I established, expectations, and then he didn't deliver. And I think that margin of what I thought versus what he gave us is enough to get him in the bottom half of the top 10. I do think we should bring him to the next round. What about you?
Yeah, I think he deserves to be on there. I don't know how much is his fault. Because I mean, where has the opportunities been? The thing I just don't understand is when you're on a bad team, how hard is it to get snaps? I mean, like, why is it so hard to give guys a chance that are supposed to be talented? You drafted in a third round, top 3 rounds are guys that should be contributing, in my opinion. I don't understand why he doesn't get more opportunities.
If you're an offensive weapon drafted in a top 100, you should do something. You shouldn't only have 1 or 2 snaps a game. Snaps, not like. And if you are 1 or 2 snaps a game, you should have 1 or 2 touches a game. You know what I mean? The fact that we're still trying out Xavier Gibson to return, and not him, like, that tells me this kid, is he like shaking babies in the locker room, or I don't know what he's doing, but he's something that's keeping him off the field. How do you not move to him after we're mathematically eliminated? There's more to the story. They called him immature. Can you tell us
I
more
think
than
the
just
immature.
that?
I think the immature comments are strictly just from him dropping the ball when he was running into the end zone that time. I think that's what that's based on. Strictly, I haven't seen anything in the media to where he's acted immature. I haven't
Maybe
seen
it's
anything. I
his
don't
sister
understand.
cries on Twitter all the time. I don't know if it's his sister or mom complains. I know, but you can't call him immature for that. Like,
Yeah,
and he just wants an opportunity to help this team. Like, again, how do you not trot him out there?
it doesn't make any sense to me, man.
Yeah.
But it's either way, it's disappointing because the few snaps that he has had, he hasn't quite done it. Even whenever he did finally get the touchdown, he fucked that
I
up
could have
too.
ran. I
So
could have ran that in too. By the way.
I don't know. We say that until we get on the field with a bunch of 4.4
It was good
yard dash
blocking. That's all.
people.
It was good blocking. I will say that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But it was execution. You know, caught the ball, ran it in. So
uh, did he though? I'm just teasing. Ricky.
come on,
Corley
Ricky.
didn't make my list because West Virginia or wherever he came from wasn't playing top competition in college, so I didn't. What Western Kentucky, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not West Virginia. Let's relax there,
See,
Ricky.
and that what he says there at the end though is the rub. Did you expect something out of him? And again, did you hear Sala on the phone? Did you hear the fact that, well, we did trade up to draft him? How can you not expect anything when we traded up to draft him?
He was in our top four receivers, supposedly,
Yeah, yeah.
over Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier, was it Xavier Worthy, I'm
Xavier
thinking?
Worthy,
Yeah,
Keelan Coleman, which I'm okay with.
yeah.
Ricky Pearsall. We had him over Ricky Pearsall? Are you kidding me? You know what Ricky Pearsall would do on this team?
Something, I would
Yeah.
hope.
Dude, give me a route runner. Yeah.
Anything would be more than what Corley has so far. So yeah, he's definitely on the list.
The
Um,
fact the Jets had Corley over BTJ makes him on my list. Facts.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, oh, I thought he was talking about for this list. Jerry brings up Brock Purdy. Would you? I don't know that he's attainable. I think a guy that is attainable, maybe a Dak or a Tua, if their teams want out of their deals. But I think next year you just rip off the Aaron Rodgers dead money. Like I think you just swallow that whole 50 million and you just go cheap.
Yeah, I don't think he's attainable at all. I think the Niners are going to stick with him.
Yeah.
Um, if he was available, I don't know, you would consider it or whatever. But I think with where we're at right now and the position that we're in right now is your best option of what's looks to be out there is probably just to stick with Aaron for another year, especially if you get a particular head coach. And we're going to talk about that here later once we finish this list.
Especially if he says, "Hey, you guys can cut me and start paying my dead money and then I'll just resign for 5 mil." And then you can pay your starting caliber quarterback $5 million and pay the dead money. So you're building for the future because you're getting that dead money off the future books. I think that that's a no-brainer. Now, if he won't take a pay cut like that, or if we do have to keep him on that deal and kick the can down into 2026 and 7, different story. I don't want to get money into 2027, but if we can cut him and just give him a new deal that's cheap, that's when I'm saying he is our best option. Um, big controversy, I think. It's probably because he's Garrett's former quarterback and Garrett is disgruntled. Justin Fields. Before we finish off this list, I want to ask you what you think his value will be on the open market.
I think we kind of touched on this a little bit before. I think
I heard mentioned
where
today
I
two
think his
for.
value is and where his value is going to be are different, maybe in a different, he's definitely an intriguing option. I liked him in the draft. I liked him. I was fine. It was like if it was him or Zach Wilson, I was fine with either. Definitely wrong about the Zach Wilson, but I think where I'm picturing him to be would be like 10 or 12 million a year. Where he's going to get paid, it's going to be more like 18, maybe 20, you know.
I do.
So
I think I heard Johnny earlier suggest we should get it like two years for 18, and I thought to myself, man, not if more than one team won him, and more than one team saw him win some games this year. Uh, I don't
yeah,
know, man.
because even if you don't like teams that don't have like an opening right now for a starter, there's teams that are going to want to bring him in for competition at the very least. Like think about like the Saints, like they're going to be like Derek, if you don't get your shit together, we're going to bring Fields in and he's going to take over. So I don't know, man.
I see, and I get this notion. What team wants him? I can't see any. Have you looked at the free? Like, have you looked at the quarterbacks available? Look at the draft, and look at free agency. There is not a bona fide starter amongst either pool. Um, Darnold probably going to be taken, but after that, Jacoby Brissett, um, Red Dalton. Um, it's scarce, man. It's scarce. Fields tops the list if Darnold's brought back, I think.
Yeah, yeah, probably. Unless Kirk gets cut, which I don't. I mean, they're so in deep on that deal. I don't know, but um, there's also team like think about like the Browns. Like they have said that they're bringing they did that whole like little restructure and stuff with Deshaun Watson, and basically if you listen to Ian Rappaport or whoever report on it, they they must have told him like, yeah, we're restructuring him and we're bringing him back, but we're saving money so we can bring in competition. Is basically what's going on over there. Like they're going to be snatching up somebody, so maybe they're going to go after Fields. I don't know, but he's going to have a market for sure.
That's yeah, and I get this notion too. I do believe his value is at this. I just don't think that you can just buy him like it's Amazon. I think you're gonna have to buy him like it's eBay. And if there's dude, wait till the. I mean, I don't know if he'll last to the draft, but if he were to wait until after the draft, how many teams are not gonna get in the top five to get one of those quarterbacks? And then you can. I'm just saying, okay, if we can get him for 10 mil, do it. Sure, I'll take a flyer on him. But why would
Absolutely.
he? Why wouldn't he want 3 years either? You
Hmm.
know, why wouldn't he? The
Yeah, of
highest
course.
his value is gonna look. So that I don't know. I do think he's an option. He's on our table. If Garrett does have a good vibe, like it. Not that I want to please Garrett, but I'm saying if Garrett doesn't like him, that changes things.
Yeah, I mean, you have to factor in all those things into your decision. Like let's say you're planning on getting rid of Aaron, and you're like, "What's up, Ricky? Yeah, Aaron Wilson." Anyway, let's say you're planning on dumping Rogers, and you got your eye on Fields, but you don't want Garrett to be your only receiver. You're like, we want to keep Devontae. Well, then you have to think about it. Like, is Devontae going to stay or is he going to follow Rogers? Like, will Devontae want to play for Justin Fields? Like, there's
Uh,
just a lot of things that you have to think about whenever you're making those decisions. But
Facts. Facts. Um, Ricky said he'd give a 5 or 6 for Will Levis. Do you have any interest in Will Levis whatsoever?
No, not at all.
All right.
Not at all.
Just curious, because they had a good O line down there in Tennessee, and he was a blooper reel this year. A bigger blooper reel than Zach Wilson. I don't see it, Ricky. I'm sorry, man. If you wanna pitch it, we'll have the call in open in here shortly. Uh, Adirondack, he says Justin Fields, he'd give him a 3-year deal. He'd be a decent backup at worst. Yeah, yeah. What's the AAV? That's the question. And Jay, he doesn't want 3 years because he wants to be paid like a. Well, he probably wants both, right? A 3-year starting deal. What's that look like? 3 for 60? I don't know if I can give him 3 for 60, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So do we have 10 guys?
We have 10 exactly, and I feel like we're forgetting someone. Let's see. 2, 3, 4. 5 of our guys are on offense.
Which is pretty crazy to think about. I did want to ask you about one guy, and I'm honestly not even really sure about my opinion on him. Do you think Tony Adams has been a disappointment?
I do. I would probably have him fringe top 10. Because of I was high on him, and I can't remember if you were either, but like, he was supposed to be a bona fide starter. And then we were hearing like his coverage skills got way better this offseason. I didn't see it, man. I did not see it. Chuck Clark would be on this list if he didn't already go on IR, and pretty much that whole safety room could be on this list.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some stuff that I liked out of Chuck Clark this year, but it was less than I wanted. Tony Adams in the beginning of the season, I didn't think was too bad. And then I don't know if he was banged up, or I don't know, maybe after Saleh got fired, I don't know. The whole defense seemed to get worse after that, I feel like. But my expectations was a below average safety, starting safety.
So what are you saying?
Maybe he's a little worse than that, but I don't think I don't know if he's top 10 worthy.
Okay, fair.
He's in consideration, though.
How do you not have nobody on the D line besides Clemens, Kinlaw? We got Reddick. I'm sorry, we got Reddick. So nobody on the interiors. No Kinlaw, no Solly, no Mosley on the list. Ashton, any of those? You gotta have Mosley, right?
Mosley got hurt. I mean, are you disappointed over somebody getting hurt? That's not really their fault. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Over a couple games, we have him for 4 games. I can't put him on the list for that. Solomon Thomas, like, dude, he's a rotational backup defensive end. He's done the same thing he's done the last 2 or 3 years that he's been here. I'm not. That doesn't really. Yeah. He didn't really disappoint me. He's just is what he is. Javon Kinlaw. I didn't have high expectations, but I was hoping. I was like hoping that he would like just fit into this defense, because we saw it with Saleh, with other players that we brought in that maybe weren't as good, and we brought them in and they played better. It didn't really work out. I don't know if I can call him disappointing, though. I didn't really expect him to be Quentin Williams 2.0. I was afraid that somebody was going to put Quentin on here. And I haven't seen his name yet, so I'm glad that.
You know what? I think the only thing that saved him is the chat that we attract. I think if we had a little more toxic vibes, he's on this list. I think the only thing saving Xavier Gibson is the fact that none of us expected any. Like we were crying for him to be replaced all off season. That's saving him. But if it was just straight disappointment, he would probably be top 3.
Yeah. Yeah, if just like disappointment as a human being in general, yeah, maybe. But I wanted to like just say Lazard because me and my feelings towards Lazard, but like technically he probably overachieved, at least early in the season for me. I still think he's horrible, and I don't want him on the team, but so I can't really put him on the list either. I don't know. You could say Fotu. You could potentially say Fotu, but I don't really have super high expectations for him either. So I don't know. It's just like that. We got like 10 or 11 here that make a lot of sense, and then other guys are kind of wishy washy. But right there,
Hold
like
on. Yeah,
the
hold on.
guy at top, in my opinion, needs to be the guy at top.
Okay, and chat, please. This is now your time to really stoke the fires. Like, who are you? Should we start at 10? Should we start at who maybe, like, you might have a guy that you don't even think should be on the list? And the chat, same way. If you have a guy that you don't even think qualifies, then beat your drum for them to be 10th, right? Because this is our 10-man pool. And I do agree with you, Tyron, terrible. But let's start at 10.
Okay.
Who, guys, do you think is borderline, shouldn't even be here? Who deserves 10 out of 10?
Well, I mean, I don't even think Quincy Williams should be on the list, but so to me, that would be your 10 out of 10. It has to be.
Whoa. Hold on, let me fix this. And let me back up my camera a little bit. All right. Okay. You said who?
Quincy.
Quincy.
Yeah. I think he's still been pretty effective. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at tackling numbers and tell you how good a linebacker is. I'm going to tell you by looking at the play on the field and the plays that they make.
There's another guy that I would consider, like, there's 2 guys that I have that I think I'm going to have, like, 9 and 10. Which order I put them in. You know what? Yeah. I do vote yay on Quincy. And I don't want to blurt out number 9 because I want the chat to start rolling in here. All right, here we got some stuff here now.
Yeah.
Jerry, A-Rod throwing for 303 touch. Yeah, this weekend? Let's do it, dude. I like it. That's in MetLife, right? Yeah, I believe it is. And I also believe that Tua is sitting out. Yeah. Shout out Mike White. He's probably going to play 2.5, 3 quarters this week.
Yeah. I miss the Mike White days. I don't know why. I do.
Ah, dude. Awesome. All right. E-Boogie here says Quincy all day. Ricky, Quincy.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, if you want to start rolling with number 9, you can. I'm going to get Quincy slotted into number 10 here.
I think 9 is pretty easy for me.
I think probably the same.
Yeah, we're probably in the same ballpark here, but I gotta say number 9 is Mr. Lightning himself, Brees.
Ooh. I was thinking Sauce, I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
I was, but I'm worse on Brees than you because it wasn't even consideration. So you're probably right. He's got over 1,200 yards total. Let's get the chat's input though. Ricky. Okay. Ricky says Brees. Fair. Sauce, you might escape the. Actually, I don't think you're escaping anything if you're not going to be number 9.
I am.
E-
So you said Sauce. Okay.
I did say Sauce, which would
Hmm.
push Brees higher, which would mean that I'm more disappointed in Brees than I am in Sauce. But it's I'm splitting hairs, you know.
Yeah.
Hey Stack, we'll talk to you later, bro.
Be
You know what,
safe,
Ricky?
Stack. Um,
Ricky agreed with you. That's good enough for me.
that's good, dude. If I got
Yeah.
Ricky's backing, I'm bringing out the
Yes.
big guns, dude. You know that.
You got the same shirt on and everything, man.
I know we're on like the same mind link.
All
Um,
right. 9.
Ricky
Breesel.
makes it look better though. So for 8, I mean, I'm torn between two here. I think I'm gonna let you influence me a little bit, and I'm gonna go Sauce.
Sauce. For number 8, you're thinking. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Scott said he was way more disappointed in Sauce than Brees. So Scott, you need to tell me if you have someone else for 8th then, which would push Sauce higher. Let us know, man. Right now. Okay, Ricky's got Rogers for
See,
number
that was
8.
the other one that I was looking at. That
That
was the
is
other one.
that's
But
very interesting.
I took a step back and I thought about it, and I was like, what did I expect out of Sauce this year?
Yeah.
I expected damn near Revis 2.0, third All Pro, first team All Pro season, and maybe even a few more picks than he got the past two. That's what I was expecting out of Sauce, like absolute elite play. I didn't expect absolute elite play out of Rogers. I expected good, very good play. So that was the difference maker to me.
And there's two trains of thought with Aaron Rodgers too. It's if you look at his numbers are where I expected them to be. So that puts him at not disappointing at all. You look at the fourth quarter comebacks and the one possession games, and they are the most like I could make a case for him number one. So like, but I'm just going with the eye test and the gut. I'm willing to put Sauce here. You
Okay.
cool with that? Okay,
Yeah.
Scott, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair, Scott. Okay, so putting Mr. Ahmad Gardner, taking him out of the pool. All you got to know is that he is no longer a choice, you know?
Yeah.
So we have
Uh,
7 guys remaining, and I want to know. Obviously, in your head, you're ranking them in most disappointing. I want to know who your 7th most disappointing is. Not your top one, your 7th most out of these 7. Oh, so this is where I get into the Aaron talk, maybe the DJ talk, maybe Corley, but
I to me, because we're right now we're doing like the least most disappointing because we're going up the list, so it's almost confusing. I almost want to put
very
Ruckert there because did I have super high expectations for Ruckert? No.
that help that it
I
factors in.
I had some expectations and he didn't meet those. So I'm actually kind of leaning toward Ruckert right now.
Yeah, I get it because that was my thought with Corley because I'm like, yes, he disappointed me, but he also wasn't out there losing games. Ruckerts wasn't out there much either. Um, we got a vote for DJ Reed.
We've definitely seen more out of Ruckert than we have Corley. That's
Yeah,
for
we have, which would make him more disappointing. So I guess my vote.
See, Reed is higher up the list for me, Ricky. He's more
Yeah,
disappointing than these other
I'm
guys.
leaning Corley here. Are you? Do you have a? Are you against Corley at 7?
Um, I mean, you could say based on him being a rookie that your expectations maybe wasn't super high with him being a rookie. Also, with us having actually a guy I was going to mention, I had him on my list there for a while, and I forgot to mention him earlier. Mike Williams could have been on the list,
Oh yeah, you could have.
but because we had Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Lazard, Gibson, um, maybe the expectations weren't super high. So I could see Corley. I'm not upset with that.
I'm also not opposed to going with Adirondack for this one, just because he feels so strongly about it. Are you? Do you think that would ruin your flow? Is Rucker in your top 5 on your personal list?
Most disappointed? No, no.
Okay.
And that's
All right.
dude. Rucker was my pick, but
Six.
you were stuck on
Okay.
Corley.
That's my bad. Yeah, that's my bad. Basically, your top 5, save them for this one and the next. Don't land on them. So I'm gonna put Rucker at 7. Adirondack, you spoke from the heavens and helped us out here. I appreciate it. Don't forget, we still got Corley out here dangling. Come on, mouse. There we go. 7, Jeremy Rucker. Got 6 guys left. If you have a top 5 in mind, who's not on your top 5? Target them next.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer now because we spoke on it a second ago. It's got to be Corley
I'm with you.
because those other guys are all definitely top 5 for me.
That makes it easy. All right, we have our top 5. Chat, weigh in on this. Even if you want to put your top 5 ranking in the list, you can. Or if you want to just give us 5 and 4, you can, saving the top 3. Yeah, Ricky's with us. Corley at 6. I got to look at these names again. So, Greg lost us a few games. And I had high expectations. I expected not to think about him at all. And that didn't work. Reddick, we know about him. I think I'm leaning Rodgers here. Just because there's things that impacted him that weren't on him. And if you submit another quarterback in, you still have drops. You still have blindside sacks. You know, I think he actually had to alter his delivery, like 2.5 or less, because of 10 other guys. I could make a case for him not being in the top 4.
I'm going to agree with you because my list I have Aaron Rodgers as 5th.
That works for me.
So
I'll put him at 5, and I have a feeling the chat's going to start popping in and agreeing on that. I think it's a no. Like the other 4 guys, I think are clearly ahead of him.
it's like I said earlier. Like I know we all said, you know, all we need is average quarterback play out of Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think anybody actually expected us to get average quarterback play out of Aaron Rodgers. You know,
Right.
or even below average in some instances.
AFG said, I wouldn't even let Reddick suit up. You know what? I'm with you, man. Freeze him at 0.5 sacks. All right. Got 4 guys left. I'm leaning a certain way, but let me hear from you.
I was going to go DJ Reed here.
So was I, but
I
do you want to
I
say
feel like you
why?
read my mind by the way things look right now. Yeah.
Since I'm sharing my screen, I have a little bit of lag. Sorry.
That's okay. I didn't expect first team All Pro, even second team All Pro out of DJ Reed this year, but like I expected him to play really well. Like maybe even get himself a Pro Bowl. I don't know. Um, and he's not been good, dude. That it was weird, like the turn because it was. He looked really good in like first few games or so, really good, and then it just like it was a huge downturn. And he picked up the grabbiness off of Sauce.
It did, and then now you're
Yeah,
seeing
but I'll be right in there in just a second.
now you're even seeing like him mentally falter instead of like, dude, you got 1 week left. You don't have to remind us how badly you want to hit free agency. Like, I get though that they're prying for you to say you want to stay. We got Sherwood to say that on the phone this week, but like, you can find another way of saying it. But then again, like, it's a Buffalo Bills beat guy. Like, I don't know. I would like to know if he really said, like, where's the audio of that, But regardless, the other three guys I have ahead of him. Gotcha. Down to 3 remaining. You're muted. You are muted.
My bad. Top 3 most disappointing New York Jets, and I don't know how many people would disagree with us on these. Like it's all 3 of these guys have not been anything near what we wanted them to be, what we were banking on them to be. For me, I got Greg Z. That's the third most disappointing Jet for me. Because I didn't expect Justin Tucker, but I expected a good kicker,
Yeah.
And he has not been anywhere near that.
And you know what sucks? Like, if coming into this without thinking, if you told me Greg Z will be on this list and there's going to be 2 guys ahead of him, I would immediately blurt out, the fuck there is? There's no way, dude. The dude has to be 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Him or
And
Reddick.
there's an argument to be made for that, but I just looking at the other 2 and what I actually expected out of them, I can't.
Yeah. Ricky said same. I'd like to hear from some others. Greg Z, number 3 for you guys. Let us know. I also dropped the call-in link down there. Please tell us what's wrong with this list. Who did we forget? Who did we put in the wrong spot, and why? Call in. Let us know. Greg the Leg coming in with a bronze medal. Probably the best thing that happened to him this year. All right, we do have someone joining us here in a moment, so that helps. I know Daniel will. Yep, Daniel's gonna step away here. We got 2 guys remaining, and
Do I even have to send chats to you, or are we just like mind linked? Is that what's going on?
We're mind linked, man, and I know we're mind linked.
Yeah.
The guy I really want to talk about, number 1.
Yeah.
And you can too, but I really don't care to talk about number 2 if you want to hit on him.
Since we're down to the 2, we might as well just hit them both at the same time. I'm gonna touch on Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick, I did not expect 17 sacks out of Hassan Reddick. I also did not expect him holding out for how many games? I mean, like almost half the season, it felt like. I didn't expect him to come in and have half a sack in the games that he has played. I expected pressure out of him. I expected something out of him. He hasn't given us anything. It's almost not even worth having him on the field at this point. Hugely disappointing, especially after the JJ injury. Like after the Jermaine Johnson injury, you needed Hassan Reddick to come in and do something. He was the perfect plug guy to get in there to help you get pressure on the quarterback. So with the second year Will McDonald, who only had 17% of the snaps last year, maybe 20, I don't remember, coming into his first year as a starting, edge rusher, doesn't have to have that kind of pressure on him. And props to my guy, for still capitalizing on it. He hasn't been elite this year, but he's been very, very good in my opinion. We needed Hassan Reddick. We expected something out of Hassan Reddick. He gave us nothing. End of story.
He really did too. And honestly, the other thing is like maybe we didn't have all these great big leads, but like you're playing next to Quinnen Williams. You're playing like how do you have 0.5 sacks, man? And you came in out of shape. You held out. Was it your prior agent or not? I don't know. But guess what? You missed games. You came in fat. Yeah, you're number 2 for me. You want to hit Tyron real quick while I type this in?
Yeah. Yeah. So Hassan, and that's the whole defense played just not up to par. And it's just like one of those things like you have a machine and you have all these cogs that are turning. And if you have one cog that's jammed and not working, the rest of the cogs start not turning either. You could blame that the coverage, and things like that could be, lack of pass rush because our cornerbacks aren't used to having to cover for 6, 7, 8 seconds at a time. I don't know, but Hassan hugely disappointing, and somehow even more disappointing than that, we have Tyron Smith, who last year, I know he played like 10 games or what, I don't remember what it was that he played last year. It might have been 13 or something. When he played those games, he was a top 3 tackle in the league. His performance was caliber of a top 3 tackle in the league, not just left tackle. He was still at that like great to maybe elite level. Like we didn't expect him to play all 17 games. Nobody did. But we expected him to come in, and when he did play, we expected him to hold down that left side for us and keep Aaron upright. He did not do that. Like you said, whiffs, penalties, even not something that he was hugely known for. Like he just wasn't. It's like a whole different guy. Like, yeah, he looks like Tyron Smith. That's not Tyron Smith. That's not the Tyron Smith we knew watching Dallas.
He looked like a Tin Man Wizard of Oz at times, where
Yeah.
like I don't know, it's crazy, like Iron Giant. I don't know if you've ever seen
No
that
fluidity
movie.
in his
Yeah,
mode, like
dude.
you know.
And
Yeah.
I got your take, man. If you want to run, we got 2 guys about to join, but I want to hear from them as well what they think of this. Talk to you in a few, Murph.
Yep. We'll be right back.
Sir. Um, like I said, I got some fellas here to join me. I want to hear what they have to say about this list. What do they disagree about? What do they agree about? Let's start with the guy that is in my intro. You know him, you love him. Sean McAteer. What's up, brother?
What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. I'm just glad to close the book on 2024, which is kind of why it spawned this, to get the one last bad taste out of my mouth.
Yeah, for sure. And I know we're doing players, but like through the stream, I heard a couple people saying JD, and I agree with that, man. Like the Hassan Reddick thing wouldn't even be an issue if we would have kept Huff and JFM. We keep our defense together, which was already working. Like that's why 20-something points isn't enough with Aaron Rodgers. If we were stopping defenses like we were last year, we wouldn't need to put any more points. Aaron Rodgers would be doing enough. So is Aaron Rodgers really the problem? That's where I kind of like, I don't know, man. Like, I
I'm with
definitely
you.
think Hassan Reddick is a problem, but I also think if we were going to get him in the building, we knew he wanted a contract, we should have paid him and just got him in the
Yeah,
building. otherwise, we should have just not done the deal. Like it's just crazy to me, like where we're at right now and where we were last year with our defense. Our defense was a top defense. We were shutting everybody down. And then this year we're giving up 21, 31. It doesn't matter. Whatever anybody else is scoring, they're scoring more. We score some, they score more. It doesn't matter. And that just sucks, man. Because like that was what I was going into. Was like, yeah, he can be a mediocre quarterback. Because if he was doing that and our defense was shutting people down, we would be probably one of the top teams in the league. And
See,
we're
and
just
that's the
not doing that
thing.
shit.
And like I touched on it earlier, like we weren't asking him to carry us, like we weren't supposed to, and we wound up doing it. Also, like people say, "Oh, you guys said you were only a quarterback away. What happened?" Well, last year we were. The
Yeah,
year before we were. This year, like you said, the defense fell apart. We were not just a quarterback away.
yeah. You have to play both sides of the ball, and if we can't keep defense or offenses from scoring, it doesn't matter how many points we put up on the board. Like they're always going to score more, especially with Greg the leg just shutting down this year. That didn't help us at all, but that also helped everybody else shut down. We get in these close games, and then we're a field goal away, and we get them to the point where he can make that field goal, doesn't make that field goal, and so the whole team starts going downward. Emotionally, they start
Spiraled.
playing. It's a spiral. But you
For,
were hoping less from Aaron to like not be on that spiral, but I think him knowing that he's in the end of his career, he's like, this was my shot. And
and
really,
I
and if our defense was what it was last year, we would have that shot.
yes,
Yeah,
like you don't even need the D and Greg. If you just had one of them, you win three or four more.
yeah.
If you have both of them, you win five more at least.
Well, and then you also have that morale that takes you another game or two. You know, it's
Give me Jermaine, Jermaine or Greg or I don't know, but like there were so many things that had to happen at the same time for us to only have 4 wins. It seemed like they all happened.
yeah. I feel like it's just our curse. Like,
I
how
can't
does it all
disagree,
come
man.
together at the same time?
I can't
Always.
disagree.
It
I
doesn't
can't.
happen to most other teams. I at least
No.
like most of my other family is Giants fans, so they're like not super excited either. So like we're all on the same page. They're not like gloating in front of me and shit.
How do they feel about last week?
My
Were they
my
pissed?
cousin has season tickets, and he was sending me pictures and like empty seats and empty stand. And actually, they freaking won last week. But
They
like
they could have had the top.
nobody wants anything like to do with the
Yeah,
Giants now. Like
yeah, true.
that's one
Yeah,
coaching place that you don't want to go to.
no, and you might have if they would have lost last week, they would have had a top 1 or 2 pick. But
Right. Yeah.
now, if they win this week again,
Which they
facing
probably will.
backups,
Yeah.
they're gonna shoot way down the list.
Yep. We're still up there at
So
least on that.
I feel bad for Malik Neighbors too, because like there's
Yeah.
no end.
Well, and that's most top quarterback picks. You're like, man, you just got put in the worst situation. But it happens every year, and some of them work out, some of them don't. And then you got that Patrick Mahomes coming in at like the 7th round for some random team and becoming
Wouldn't that be
the truth,
nice?
right?
Jordan Travis, is that what you said?
As long as it's not Heckenberg, I'm good.
Yeah. So true, man. So true. Hey,
But hey,
Snowball, yeah.
I
Just
just
real
wanted to,
quick.
yeah, go ahead.
Someone wants to know what happened to the beard. Snowball's asking.
I just had to make
You
some
told us.
changes in my life. My mom actually, her it's kind of a sad story, but at the same time kind of funny. Her brother passed away, and I asked her if she needed anything for the funeral, if she wanted me to do anything, and she said if I could shave that rat tail off my face, it'd be nice. So the next
You
time I
know,
saw her, I didn't have it, and she teared up. So it was cool. It was worth it.
hey, salute to you, brother. Have a good night, man.
You too, bro. Late.
Yep, later. Sean's a great guy. He told us that story before, but it was a slow night. There was only a few of you in here, so I did want to ask him again. But just know, Sean, I didn't forget that. I just wanted you to reiterate it. It's a good story, and I'm sorry for your loss, brother. I really am. And faced with the same option, I don't know. You were committed to that thing, but well, regardless of what I would have done, kudos to you for shaving it off, man, to give your mom a smile when she needed it the most. So Murph abandoned me, man. He said, "I'm out of here. Time to call in the recruits, man. I got a guy. I got a guy for y'all. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see if he'll let me go pee." Without further ado, the number one fan of Ryan Clark.
Hey, Dane, get a Gatorade bottle.
Don't tempt me. No guy in this chat can say that they've never done that before in their life.
Oh, dude, I pissed all over my car trying to do it on the road. It was a nightmare.
It happens. Sorry, Hayes, but just it's a fact of life, right? Hey, what's up, man? Did you see so you saw our final list, right? What do you think?
I've been here the whole time. It's interesting. Well, it's not interesting. I'm glad to see everybody agreed on who number one was, because that was my first thing I thought of was him. So I did a
100%.
list of 5 before I really knew the rules and your list and all that. So I'm just going to give you that. He was number one. Next one, you guys already won't agree with, but Sauce was my number 2, because there were so many times this year I was just so disappointed in him, getting beat by scrub receivers or running backs or tight end. I mean, and partly that's because I expected more out of him. So, like you said, this isn't the worst 5 players. This is just the 5 biggest disappointments. Okay, so I changed my list by one guy when someone brought up a certain player, and I think it was Mike Williams.
Yes.
I put him at my number 3 because I thought, oh my God, he's going to be great with Garrett. So I bumped.
You're not wrong with that. He should have been great.
Yeah, and he's done a little bit in Pittsburgh, but he hadn't done anything noteworthy. I mean, he had that first touchdown, and I think that was the only ball he caught, like the first 3 games he was there. So I had Rodgers at number 5, which is where you guys come up with. I bumped him down because, once again, I did this before I knew the rules, sort of. Brick was my number 4.
Okay.
I really thought he'd clean up the penalties, and they would sharpen up a little bit, and it got worse. I mean, they had 16 penalties last week. And then, for as much as we kind of celebrated him for a while this offseason, JD was my number 5, because he turned the strength of the team into a weakness, chasing, and
So
Reddick. Reddick's
you
not
had-
on my list because I was done. He didn't exist to me after that went on for a while.
So you had Tyron, and where was Mike again?
He was 3. Sauce was 2.
Okay.
And then Brick, and then JD. When I moved Mike Williams in, I bumped Rodgers to 6, or bumped him out. And not that once again, I don't think Sauce and Rodgers are the 2nd and 6th worst player on the Jets, but I was disappointed. And, part of me just was thinking, oh, Rodgers is going to throw that Superman cape on. And he didn't have that anymore.
No.
But like Sean said, and many of us have been saying all year, if the defense had shown up like we did last year, it's a playoff team. The offense improved. The defense and the special teams got worse. So,
And that's honestly, I think Brant Boyer's got to go now too. Like he survived many regime changes. It's time. It's time. Uh, I don't know where I would rank Ulbrich and JD, but I wonder if I wouldn't put JD higher than Ulbrich. Did you toy with that at all?
I did, but not, just flipping them. But I just found myself being, I looked back to before the season started. I remember thinking, man, JD's doing a good job here. But he blew it on the defensive line, and he blew it not replacing the kicker. And whatever the reason for not getting Reddick in sooner, whose fault, I don't know. I won't necessarily put that on him. But, could that have been done differently and he could have been here to start the season and maybe made an impact this year? I don't know.
How much of it do you put, like, how much would JD have been saved in your D line argument? Say Jermaine stayed healthy. At all? A little bit? A lot of bit?
I'm assuming a little bit because I'm assuming they would have been better. But nonetheless, he still brought in, the guy from
Kinlaw.
Kinlaw, and I know a lot of people were fired up about that, and maybe that was more of a Saleh thing. Saleh liked bringing in those 49ers, but I've been in 49er country his whole career, and people have been complaining about him the whole time. So
I know there was a lot of people complaining. I think they wanted Al Woods or Quentin Jefferson back, but I think the main argument was the cost.
No, that's part of it, of course.
Next year we got 2.8 million dead for Kinlaw. Like why? Why? And at the time I didn't care because I said, hey, you take a guy right off their rookie deal that went 16th overall. You might have to pay a little more because it's that 1 year where you might get a lot out of someone or a bust. Like it's a pivotal year for them, so pay a little extra. But I didn't see him. I wasn't in. I didn't see him work out, interviews, and then decided. I just had to decide it. On paper. On paper, JD did a great job, but they're not aging well.
No, they're not, and the defensive line thing is just. Well, the worst was giving away JFM. They gave him away, and I don't think he wanted to. He was asking for a whole lot of money.
No, well, we've had this talk before, and I rationalize it by adding it to the Zach Wilson trade, and I probably shouldn't. But I just can't fathom how we traded Zach unless they got something in return. And that's where but okay, was that worth it? If that is the case, I'm starting to think it wasn't. JFM's wreaking havoc. I mean, he might be injured now or something, but he was wreaking havoc. He wreaked havoc against us.
Well, the fact that he did that before he had Reddick even tied up, it was like, whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why he made my list.
Fair. And I got people in the chat agreeing with you. They would have one or both. They would have both in their top 10. Some people, there he is.
So we got some Scotty Too Hottie takes in here. What's going on, buddy?
Beer and cough drops, my man.
Hell yeah, that's a good combo.
I want to bring up something. I do have to step away for like 90 seconds. I want your guys' take on something though. Murph, maybe you can read it, but it sheds some light on. So obviously, a big talk last week was, does Garrett want out? Um, I feel like there's been so many rampant rumors about that, and nobody speaking up for Garrett. It kind of got a life of its own. Well, Garrett Garrett reacted this week, and I have the tweet. I'm just gonna drop it and go. But if you guys could maybe tell me your take on that, and does it help the narrative that he wants out, or whatever, wherever you want to take it. But here's the nugget, and I'll be right back.
I can't read that, Murph.
I'm gonna read it to you, Scott. Rich Samini, aka Mr. Dick Chimney, said, caught up with Garrett Wilson and asked him about the narrative that he's at odds with Aaron Rodgers. Quote, yeah, I've seen some of that. Yeah, I mean, there's no truth to that. At the end of the day, I don't speak on things like that because social media is not real. This is my first time addressing it. That stuff is just words for people trying to figure out a way to divide us more than they've already tried. Like the record isn't enough. Obviously, we've got a lot going on here, especially this season, trying to dig ourselves out of this hole. Unfortunately, we weren't able to, but my feet are where my feet are at, and I'm going to try and finish this thing the right way. End quote. What do you think about that, Scott?
I think he's talking like a pro right there.
And hasn't Garrett always?
Yeah.
That's my thing. It's almost like people are trying to make him into one of the typical diva receivers that we see nowadays, and we see a lot of that. And some of that stuff is just for guys trying to get contracts and stuff. I understand the game that they're playing or whatever, but Garrett's not like that, man.
Yeah.
Garrett's never been like that. Garrett wants to win more than anything.
Yep.
Like he's always said, he's never. Of course, he would like his stats like anybody else. He wants to contribute to winning, and that's all he's ever wanted. And people think that just because he's not catching balls from Rodgers in certain moments and Devontae's getting them, that all of a sudden Garrett's frustrated with it. And Garrett is only frustrated because the Jets are losing.
Yep.
And he is a player for the Jets. Does that mean he may want to go to a winning team? Maybe eventually it'll wear on him to the point to where he does. But like Garrett said, his feet are where they are right now in the Jets facility, at the Jets building, at MetLife turf, whatever. And he's going to try to finish this thing the right way. That's what Garrett wants, in my opinion. He just wants to do right. He wants to win every game he goes into. He wants to help the team contribute to win. It's that simple, man.
Yeah.
These beat reporters and hell, just
sources, anonymous
sources, and and the guys on Twitter and stuff, the Dove Klymans of the world, and all the Jets Twitter accounts that are actually aren't Jets fans. They just want to rack up followers and stuff. I'm not going to name any, but there's some of them out there. These guys try to push this narrative because it generates clicks, man. Because that's what any of that stuff does, dude. Anytime AJ Brown is pissed off after a game because they lost, and he didn't get thrown the ball on the last drive or whatever it may be, then boom, beat reporter, AJ Brown said he's pissed off or whatever. And it's like, does that mean he wants to leave? No, he's just upset. He lost,
Yeah.
You notice like these past few games or whatever, like one of the people that they're more worried about interviewing than anybody was Garrett, because he wasn't getting a lot of balls. So they're trying to drive that narrative, man. It's ridiculous.
They want to create a story.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And that's their job to an extent, but
you know what? But fine, be accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be accurate.
Exactly. I'm not saying that there's no toxicity in the world. I'm not saying that there's no negativity in that locker room. I know that there is, dude. You're a losing team. Like you're going to have that stuff.
For sure.
But you can't try to make narratives that aren't there, Like if there's one thing that you can say is that there are guys in that locker room that are good culture guys, that are guys that that strictly they just want to win. They don't want to drive up narratives and have stories, and they don't think about themselves. Like I think Garrett's one of them, dude. I don't think he's somebody that's overly concerned about like, oh, I need to catch 120 balls a year, and it doesn't matter whether we win or lose. No, he just wants to win. He wants to contribute to winning, is what Garrett wants to do.
That's what it seems like to me.
So yeah, it's just the New York media doing New York media things, man.
And I don't get on Twitter, so thank God. I would go insane if I read all that crap.
And that's the thing, like, it's not even the fact that he clarified it, it's the fact that, like, there was a lot of people that believed it. A lot of people. And it's just like, how many times did they gotta trick y'all? Like, even the DJ Reed stuff I'm questioning, because it came from a Buffalo Bills reporter in the locker room last Sunday.
See, I didn't know where that came from. I thought that was a legitimate source, but I didn't look into it.
He does come national, so like it is legitimate, but like it makes me wonder, none of the Jets got that as well? Like,
yeah, that's kind of odd.
I don't know. All I'm saying is anymore I question everything, and you should, like, what's that saying? Believe half of what you read and none of what you hear. Like, if the Jets don't prove that to you every week, then I don't know.
And one thing I want everybody to take away from this, the one thing that I took from this the most is what Garrett was saying, in that he said, I haven't spoken on this because social media is not real. Like, and you can say, like, you know, okay, well, social media is a thing and stuff like that. Yeah, like that's not what he meant by that. He meant, don't believe the bullshit that you see about me. He said, if there's something that needs to be said, I'll say it myself. So anything furthermore that goes on with Garrett Wilson that's being started by Dick Chimney and Country Club Connor and all these other guys, you know, don't believe it unless you see an actual interview of Garrett saying this shit. Like, because it's just, and then you need to understand the context of what he's saying in the situation and stuff too. So that's one thing I want everybody to take from this, because he said it right there. He says social media is not real. He's like, I didn't even want to talk about this because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Honestly, you should really be looking for audio and video when it comes to quotes, because these guys you don't get the inflection of their voice. You don't get if they're winking and smirking and making a joke. You don't get that when it's just a quote. But also, take it one step further. Even when it is audio and video, you also got to be careful that it's not clipped perfectly at the edges of the bad stuff. So, like, sadly, you got to think of all this when you're a Jet fan, because, so, like, when I see written quotes, I automatically don't believe it, and I probably shouldn't. But then, you know, like, it's stages. You really got to vet the sources yourself before just jumping to conclusions.
And I do want to point out that the part of the reason that the media is like that, yes, it's a big city, but there's a lot of big cities out there, right? It's because our fan base, we have such a diehard fan base, like a big diehard fan base still, even though we haven't been to the playoffs in 14 years, like, and we still eat it up. Anything Jets, like we eat it up. We're like, wait, what? Garrett Wilson was speaking? What'd he say? You know, like we all want to hear it. We all want to see it. And that's what we kind of created this in a way, but it doesn't need to be the way that it is, you know?
We need like some fan bases get, like, there's one key story a week.
Yeah.
We have daily, like, sometimes every couple hours a story has to drop, and they all get millions of views. So you're right, it is. It's dude, Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. You know how many times he mentions Aaron Rodgers and he gets millions of engagement on every single post.
They're living, him and Cowherd, they're living on Rodgers.
Yeah, that
exactly.
It's those guys, that stuff's just obvious. Like, for instance, like, but what you're talking about, Dane, like, the Steelers have a huge fan base, right? They're a pretty successful team. They have a huge fan base all over the country, not just in my area. But they don't have they like you said, one story a week. Like there's nothing crazy like us where it's just back to back to back. All this crap's going on. Like it, and it's because the fans aren't diehards like we are. There are some. Don't get me wrong. I know diehard Steeler fans too. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of casuals. Like they have a huge fan base, but that's because they have a lot of success, and people like the casuals are drawn to success. Like, oh, I'm a fan of this team because they've won 6 Super Bowls. Because they've won 6. It's not because I want to really be a fan of this team and I love this team and I stuck with them from the beginning and this, and it's different, man. With us, we're diehards. We've spent over 2 hours now talking about a team that's won 14 games. Not 14, I'm sorry, 4 games. Jesus, I wish
over 3 years, maybe.
Yeah, 14 games over 3. Maybe that's where I was going with it. Yeah.
Well, not only that,
man.
Not only that, we were talking about the most disappointing parts of it. Not even good stuff. Oh.
Exactly. We've spent over 2 hours doing this so far, and we're still hot and heavy at it. And I can do another 2 if you need me to, but I'm just saying that's why this stuff generates, because the rich Saminis get paid by making this stuff happen.
Really, really good point by Hayes here. Garrett, he has never been able to hide his feelings, and his frustration is all over his face and body language, which does sometimes make him come off as having a bad attitude. And people take it and they run with it. He's a diva. He's just like Terrell Owens. And dude, growing up, like if you watched, T.O. was a diva. Garrett, but T.O. was also, he wanted to win. He wanted to win. Badass. He wanted to win. Like, how does the team perceive Garrett? It's not about how we do. And I think anyone in that locker room would die for Garrett, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I think, like, if you just listen to Aaron speak about Garrett, and I think Aaron's an incredibly intelligent dude. I think he chooses his words the way that, like, in a certain way on purpose, but he's also pretty honest, like almost to his own detriment.
Yeah.
He has said, talking on McAfee or whatever, talking about Garrett, he has said, like, Garrett is like, I don't know how I remember exactly how he put it, but like Garrett is a passionate but super talented player. Like he's like, he wants to win, He never says Garrett wants the ball. He says Garrett wants to win, and he admits, like, yeah, he's like a he's passionate, but it's never in like he's mad at every other player on the team all the time. Like he's like, oh, it's everybody else's fault but mine. It's never that. It's just like he's frustrated with losing is all it is. I don't have the exact quote off the, but like, I'm just saying, anytime you've ever listened to Aaron bring up Garrett, dude,
what's funny?
Way.
Well, and that's kind of what the vibe I got from Garrett's quote there was kind of like, I keep my circle close. If you didn't hear it from my circle, like, that's what what Aaron said a while back. Like, social media is going to run with all different kind of shit, but like, if I didn't say it, you shouldn't believe it, because I don't think he's a rumor, gossip queen or whatever. I do have some other nuggets I want to go through real quick. This week, particularly, we interviewed Louis Riddick, and we interviewed others, but what say you in 15 seconds? What do you think of Louis Riddick?
I wasn't a huge fan of him. And admittedly, a lot of it's just because, dude, he's done a ton of bad thing on the Jets. Like, that would be like hiring Belichick to me, almost. You know what I mean? Like, or just somebody that has like openly hated on the Jets for a while. Like, that doesn't sit well with me. I'm not crazy about it. Like he does have a solid background. Like he was a scout for a long time. He's been a player for a long time. Usually guys that have been players connect well with the players. Guys that have done scouting, usually, they know the draft type stuff in and out. Like, there's potential that he could be a solid GM, right? Like he's seen a lot of different angles of NFL football. I'm not crazy about it though. I think there's better options out there, even if I set the Jet hate aside. So
Scott, what do you think of Riddick?
I don't like him, and the thing is, I used to like him when he first got on ESPN, but he's turned into one of those ESPN hot take. I don't care what I say. I'm gonna say, I just want to get the clicks. Well, I don't watch ESPN anymore because of guys like him, and that's just what they want. But someone that'll cave like that to act that way and to say those things, I'm not interested.
yeah, and I think I brought this up on a previous show too. Like he was one of them like clickbaity guys like that, whatever the hot topic that would get the views and stuff, he would say.
Fair. And he's actually openly like belittled Jet fans on Twitter, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen the viral tweet from I think it was October or something when he said to someone like, "You're a Jet fan, what do you know?" or something like that. Like, bro, if GMs should be pristine character. I'm sorry, it's a front office
Yes.
role. Maybe at head coach you can get a little like,
Spicy.
but yeah, but at GM, nah. Like, okay, and I did. Sorry, everything's mirrored. Here is the list of what we've done. So this is what we've done up until today. So yesterday we interviewed Ron Rivera for head coach. Today, did you guys hear who we interviewed today, guys?
Yeah, baby. Let's go.
Today, we interviewed Mike Vrabel. I have some tweets about him, but before I show those, just surf. I mean, we've hit the Vrabel stuff. Okay, here's my question. Timing. Okay. What do you? We all can get behind the hire of Mike Vrabel. Is it too soon to hire him now? Yeah.
Real fast, Dane. I got to ask Murph a question.
Yeah.
I just picked up on something. Murph, are you one of those dudes that brings an ice chest and puts it next to your chair? Come on now.
Today, no, I didn't have my proper preparations. But normally, it's not an ice chest. I have this cooler that I've been meaning to send over to Dane since he's a big fan of Yingling. But I have this soft cooler.
Well, that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah.
Go to the fridge.
It's a soft cooler. It's got a strap and it's easy. I have like about 8 those frozen ice packs or whatever. I'll throw about 8 of those in there with, however many beers I'm feeling like maybe I might drink that night. I'll keep that up next to me. But tonight I just said, screw it. I'll drink them before they get cold. I got the 12-pack with me.
Oh, dang.
Dude, that's it. When you're really going, it's like, what, 4 drinks and it's gone? You can't be going to the fridge every 10 minutes.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dane, but I just had to ask that.
No, yeah, you're good. What were we talking? Oh, Mike Vrabel. We can all get behind one amp. I mean, me and Scott have openly voiced it. Murph, I think you were leaning offense, right? But
it's either Vrabel or like a Ben Johnson or Todd Monken type. It's one of those two. I'm fine with either. So
question though, what if he once hired? Like what? Do you think it'll make us more attractive or less attractive hiring head coach before GM? And like, what do you think of all that? Is it stupid we interviewed him now because we know we have to interview others? Do you care that we're first on his list because now he's going to go other places and he may not come back? Like, what? Do you have any takes whatsoever?
I think that would be attractive to a GM, unless the GM was scared Vrabel might have too much power. But to have a successful, experienced head coach, I would think that would be attractive. It is for me.
Scott has a good point there. I'm worried. Like I worry about the long game of it. Like if you push him, like, hey, wait, we're going to do this GM stuff first. We're going to do some more interviews. Blah 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 blah. I think he's an attractive head coaching candidate. I think most people in the league would agree right now that he's one of the higher up candidates. He could easily get snatched up, get a heck of an offer from another team that has some good foundation pillars and so on and so forth. So I worry about the long game, and it kind of makes me lean towards, like, you know what, if you can get him now, is Vrabel going to deter a GM from wanting to come here? Is there somebody that's not going to want to work with Vrabel? I don't think there's going to be very many guys that are going to be like, oh, I don't want to work with that guy. He has a pretty solid track record of good coaching, and kind of a no nonsense guy. The only thing I think could deter somebody is, like, he had an issue with Robinson over the AJ Brown trade.
Yeah.
Looking back at that, Vrabel was kind of right. You know what I mean? Most people had an issue with Robinson. Granted, if Robinson had nailed that pick, if he hadn't picked, I forgot his name now, but that one receiver.
Yeah.
I was just looking at it the other day. That one, anyway, the dude that showed up like fat and throwing up and stuff in camp, and yeah. If he had nailed that pick and got another good receiver, it would have been a whole different story. But so I don't want to hate on Robinson too much for it, but at the same time, if you got a stud like AJ Brown in the building, you usually want to keep him.
Yeah.
Especially if your head coach is like we need to keep this guy. If your head coach tells you that, you got to listen to him, man.
There's few, so I would have a problem with it. It depends on the candidate, right? Like, there's not many. Like, most of the head coaches, if we hired them, I would be mad that we did it before the GM, because I think we should have them weigh in. But a guy like Vrabel, I think, is almost unanimously liked, and anyone would love to go to battle with him. So, like, that's where I'm like, okay, that's fine. But there is a side of me where it's like, 2 weeks ago I said, like, why is the 33rd team even looking at the head coaches at all? Because why don't you hire the GM and then they facilitate the head coach search, But I don't know, man. Like, I'll see you, Sean. Hire him. It's not like, I think he's more important than GM right now, anyways.
Yeah,
But then I heard one other thing, and I wanted to ask you about. What if we're trying to hire him now and don't care too much about GMs because he's known to want a little more power? And the idea was floated earlier that maybe we're trying to hire him, give him a little extra power, and keep Savage. Thoughts on that? It would be Vrabel doing most of it and Savage just a figurehead.
I don't like that.
No.
That's just too much work for one person, first of all. And I want two guys that are kind of, step in step with what they're trying to get accomplished.
Yes. Yeah, and I thought that JD and Sala did a good job at that. It's just like the step and step was just heading in the wrong direction. Is what is the problem for them. But that's what you want, is you want your GM and your head coach to communicate well with each other and have a plan laid out and follow that plan together and figure it out. I think you're better off, like you said, step and step. The thing about what you were kind of talking about earlier, Dane, Vrabel for me is the only coach that you hire right now. He's and even if like we come up and the Lions first first well they get a bye I guess, but first playoff game the Lions play and they get boom out and Ben Johnson's available, still hire your GM first. That's a first time head coach. You still hire your GM first. Vrabel is the only guy that I view and I have enough respect for that I think you could hire before the GM. Is
And
basically what I'm getting at.
sorry, Murph. And there's reason to. There's going to be less GM jobs available than head coaching jobs. So get your guy. And you know what? There's behind the scenes talks going on, like Vrabel and one of the potential GMs you put up there, Dimitrov. Hey, you guys know each other. Can you work together? Do you like each other? Would you like to work together? Didn't Dimitrov come from New England, the New England organization, at some point early on? They might know each other already. I don't know. So
I can't remember. I don't know.
One thing, so a couple nuggets I want to throw in, Murph, and then we'll take it back to you. But I got a couple of tweets I want to read. One thing about the Vrabel interview is we interviewed him in New Jersey, which I think is of note, with players and staff still here, not in Palm Beach, where Peter Schrager thinks that the other interviews will take place, away from the facility. It lets him see the facility, feel the building, get a taste, all before interviewing elsewhere. You think that's something or nothing?
That to me just shows that they know that he's a hot commodity.
yeah,
That's them trying to show like, hey, like we're serious about this. Like we hold you as in our top however many guys. Like this is, to me, that was the Jets trying to prove a point. Like, hey, this is not one of those interviews like, oh, we have to have so many interviews out of the way before we make our hire. No, this is a serious interview. Ron Rivera, that was, I hope to God, that is one of those interviews that's just like, let's just get this out of the way. Like
Rooney rule,
yeah. Does he fall under that? I mean,
does.
Rivera, is that Hispanic? So
Yes, yes, sir.
so, yeah.
And the other thing is, like, our stadium sucks. Our facility does not.
Hmm.
And I would imagine it's far better than Tennessee's. What do you think of Scott, though, of us interviewing him in Jersey with the teams surrounding him?
well, I think you're showing him, we want you. And just FYI, Dimitrov was with New England from 2002 through 2007.
All right, when Vrabel was playing there.
So they may know each other. They may like each other. They may hate each other. We don't, who knows? But
Dimitrov, I think, is a guy that could handle New York, too. It just seems like a city guy.
yeah,
I'm not opposed to Dimitrov. I thought he was doing well in Arizona or Atlanta. I don't know what transpired for him to be bounced and then not get a job for a couple of years. One other thing about Vrabel I want to bring up, and I can read the cliff notes if you'd like. Peter Schrager was talking about prices and his demands, Vrabel's that is. He says that Vrabel's price and demand will be on his own merits, but the success of Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton in LA and Denver these last 2 years certainly helps too. Vrabel is far and away the leading experienced coach with that CEO Leader of Men label available in this cycle. That's a great point. We just saw Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, cut from the same cloth, have success in a new stint. Will Parkinson asked, price point for Vrabel probably starts low end 5 for 70, which is $14 million a year. Definitely top 10. probably gets closer to 5 for 80, even 85. That is high numbers. And Peter Schrager replied, "It'll be a lot of money and security, sure, but I think they'd be willing to consider all that if he's their number one guy," which we've already heard he was. "We covet him," and I quote. They may have to agree to him having a major say in GM as well. That's a sticking point for sure. Jets would A, have to step up with those items if he asks, and B, have him want the job. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, none of this really comes as a surprise to me at all. One thing I will say, speaking on that screenshot there, is Peter Schrager is a guy that I do respect in the media. That whenever he talks about the Jets or New York sports or whatever in general, that's a guy I listen to because rarely is it bullshit coming out of his mouth. It's never clickbait and it's
Right.
rarely ever bullshit. You know, I mean, some of these guys, their sources will mislead them sometimes, but Schrager is definitely a guy that you listen to. The one thing um, with Vrabel, the money, like it's not like we have to worry about that money on the cap or anything like that. That's not that's just Woody money. I don't care about Woody money. Woody owes us money, I think, at this point. Um, the sticking point, that is a hell of a sticking point. If he does demand like more control over certain things and stuff like that, that is going to be a tough one to overcome. Um, I think that the Jets are willing to give him, as far as money, whatever he wants. They may even give him some control. I don't know if it's going to be player personnel directly, but
What if it's Phil Savage? Would that
dude,
deter
the thing about the
you?
Phil Savage dude, clean house.
I
That's
agree.
what, and I'm pretty sure that's what the Jets are going to do. They are going to clean house. Like they may have respect for a couple of those guys like Phil Savage and stuff, and that's fine. Those guys will be fine. They'll land jobs in other parts of the league. Clean house. You just got to restart, dude.
I'm with you. The only thing I was thinking with Savage is like it's giving Vrabel both jobs, but he doesn't have to do the day to day stuff where Savage is like a clerk and an admin, so to speak. And how many other GMs are going to be willing to do that? Probably zero. Maybe not. I don't know. But I like Scott said, I want a real GM and a real coach and them to be working in tandem. But at the same time, if Vrabel said, I want a dummy statue at GM and I want to do 1.5 of the jobs, not 2 of them, and not 1 of the jobs, I want to do 1.5, I don't think I say no.
Well, did he say that?
No, we're
No, but
speculating.
there's people connecting the dots because we're doing head coach job or interviews now, and the fact that we know Vrabel may want more power, and how do you facilitate that kind of thing? I don't know where the rumors surfaced other than dot connecting. And I'm not
Is it,
saying it's true. I'm just saying, what if you were the one what if he did, and what would that change your mind?
is it possible in your mind that they have Vrabel at the top of their list and they interviewed him and in the interview they talked about, you know, like obviously we have to hire a GM and things like that. What are the type of GMs that you think you can work with? Who are the guys around the league that you have respect for that you think maybe we should interview or whatever? Because if we obviously want you to be able to work with this guy,
Yeah.
so you know, do you think that that's why they brought him in so early? Maybe they want to see like who he's willing to work with. Maybe they're high on Robinson, dude, and they're like, I don't know if he'll work with Vrabel, or I don't know if they'll work together. So maybe we need to ask Vrabel first.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And
I would imagine.
I don't mind him wanting to have input on a GM just because I'm assuming he wants to do it so he knows they have the same vision. rather than two random guys get thrown together and then can't even work together. So it's not a red flag for me, but I am assuming the best.
Yeah. I guarantee you they had Vrabel outline his entire vision, maybe not in interview 1, and maybe we have a GM. We probably do. By the time interview 2 happens, and maybe interview 1 was to steer our GM search. What that kind of what Murph was saying. That's a great
But
idea.
wait, wasn't it interview 2?
No, because he just left Cleveland January 2nd.
Didn't they interview?
Or
Didn't they
December
interview
31st.
Ron Rivera first?
Oh,
He
I
meant the
mean
second
his.
coach.
Oh,
I mean,
his. Okay,
Yeah,
got
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was our second overall, but our first with him. Maybe you pick his brain about GM, go hire the GM, and bring him back with the GM in tow, and really pitch the team. And he really pitches his vision at that point. That best case scenario, probably.
There's no way that Rivera interview was serious. I mean, do you guys think that they actually considered him at all?
No.
Well, I think he's worth considering, but I don't think he's their guy.
He did not do a very good job over in Washington, man.
No, but he would. What a shit show that was. I mean, we think the Jets were a mess. I mean, Daniel Snyder and that whole thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right, but
he
still,
took a shitty team to the playoffs there.
I mean, that was the one hurdle. The Rooney Rule was the one hurdle standing in the way of hiring Vrabel today.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I'm glad we took care of it. I'm not saying that.
It's not done yet, Dane. From what I heard, now the new Rooney Rule is 2 minorities have to be interviewed, right? So that's what they can't, even if they wanted to hire Vrabel now, they can't.
Maybe we can just interview Sala.
They have interviewed Riddick for both positions.
yeah.
Aaron Glenn hopefully is the second one. It might take a while.
Yeah,
I really do.
They gotta wait on. They gotta wait on Brian Flores. They gotta wait on Aaron Glenn. There's a lot of these guys are still. They're a little busy at the moment. So,
Yeah.
Who is someone, minority or otherwise, that season ends this weekend that might be in the mix?
Mike McDaniel.
Oh God.
I'm just kidding.
Oh. Listen to this. Listen to this. This blew my mind. You guys will probably make you sick. But I heard an interview, and it was a press conference of the 49ers, and some beat writer said, there's rumors about you interview this to the 49ers defensive coordinator. There's an interview, or there's a rumor about you are going to be interviewing with the Jets. Is that true? And he just said, I know nothing about that. I haven't heard any from the New York side, but on the San Francisco side, I hear this.
That's wild.
Yeah. It's like, whoa.
That would be absolutely crazy. If they're like, hey, it didn't work the first time, second time's a charm, let's do it again.
Yeah, Nick Sorensen.
Was it Sorensen? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we already tried Sala, man. No thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Dane, does your dog need to take a piss?
I think she heard something out there. She wants out now. Question, you said about the people getting eliminated this weekend, and we can use this as a way to find a coach, or you can just tell me who you think will be eliminated of this list. Scenarios for the final AFC playoff spot. Who gets it?
I think the Broncos. And even if the Broncos don't get it, they're not firing people.
I think the chances are heavy Broncos, little bit of Bengals, tiny bit of Dolphins maybe. I want the
Well, I think the
Bengals.
Bengals have the lowest chance. They need two different things. They need to win plus Denver loss plus Miami loss.
And Pittsburgh's trying to win still.
Yeah, so
you're
the
right.
Bengals probably don't have a chance, dude.
Yeah, because the Bengals need us to win.
Because the Broncos could very well lose. I mean, I know KC isn't starting Mahomes, but like they still might win. You know what I mean? It's still KC.
Carson Wentz
Yeah,
playing.
Wentz, you never know with him. He might throw 350 and 4 touchdowns. Um, so the Dolphins actually have a solid shot there. I don't know, man. I
We
think
stand in their way.
the Broncos are getting it.
I hope the Broncos do. It's been a great story, and I like Bo Nix, but man, it almost would be worth it if they lost and then the Jets beat the Dolphins, just to totally break their heart and all their fans' hearts.
Yeah, I
You
would
know
like
what?
to see the Bengals make it.
We do play after most of this shit, so like we'll know a lot about like how important our game is before it even kicks off.
So are you saying the Broncos game and the Bengals game was before the Dolphins Jets game?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think the Pittsburgh I can tell you. Give me one sec.
They normally try all the games that they try to put all the games that influence each other at the same time. So the Dolphins, for example, don't just say, "Oh, we're not playing people because Broncos won. We can't do anything."
They do normally do that. The Bengals Pittsburgh is on Saturday though. For some reason.
Well,
Denver.
That wouldn't influence how the Dolphins or the Broncos approach the game, right?
True.
Because they still win by the Bengals are the low man on the totem pole there.
So the top two games are at the same time, and that must be why they pushed our game 3 hours back. You are right.
Yeah.
But we will know something about whether the Bengals even have a chance at least tomorrow, and I do look forward to that game. I don't know, man. I kind of want Burrow in that AFC playoff. Like, the way they're playing right now, I don't want the Chiefs to win again, man. I don't want Josh Allen to win again, and I don't trust Lamar to beat both of them himself.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Bengals. I mean, just to watch them.
They'd be fun. Yeah. They would be the most fun to watch for sure. There's nothing in the AFC that impresses me all that much. You know, I mean, obviously there's Mahomes, like he just does what he does. But other than that, I mean, there's nothing. It's definitely an NFC year. You got the powerhouses that are playing this weekend, the Vikings and Lions. You know,
but the Chiefs one loss.
Huh?
The Chiefs with one loss, and it could do, but
it hasn't been pretty.
No, but it wasn't last year either.
Do you want to pick? You want to pick games this week, or is it too much of a crapshoot? Yeah. All right, real quick. All right, hold on though. Before I do that, I just want to hit this real quick. We claimed a Commanders second round pick from 2022. I don't know who he is. If anybody in the chat does, let us know. Is he anything to write home about, or do you guys know him? I doubt it. That's a weird name, but
I mean, I definitely seen the name. I remember whenever he's picked and stuff, but I don't know. I didn't watch any film on him. I don't know anything about him really.
I wanted to throw that in there. I also wanted to throw in a Jordan Travis update. Uh, Apparently, he has been at the Jets facility off and on, according to Ulbrich. He says he has been rehabbing from his injury, and the team still believes he has a bright future, even though the team is going to change.
Yeah.
He's been on the. Yeah, we know all that. But Antoine said that he's going to try and find out if he's back on track to work out in the spring at least. So stay tuned. Might get even further updates now that everybody's looking his way. Real quick as well, before we pick our winner, I want to throw this on here. Got the Dolphins favored by 0.5 point. I think that most of us would have said it would be larger, but with all the people that Miami pulled from the game, I guess someone said Tyreek's out. Tua's out.
Tyreek's out?
Yes, Yeti says Tyreek's out, but I saw something earlier that said he only needed like 60 yards to get 1,000. Is he really going to sit it out? I don't know.
How crazy would that be with Tyreek Hill not getting 1,000 yards?
Yeah. After what, 1,800 last year or something?
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, if he can play, playoffs are on the line, he better be playing.
Yeah, here we go. Tyreek needs 61 yards for 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Aaron, we know that, and whatever. All right. One other thing before we go to that. No, whatever.
Even Waddle was questionable.
Yeah, I know Waddle
is Tyreek he's injured or what?
See, I'm not seeing Tyreek on the injury report.
Okay.
They got Calais Campbell, Javon Holland, D. Eskridge, Jalen Waddle are all questionable, and Tua is doubtful. And then we got some guys on there too, man. The Sauce is out. Quinnen is questionable. Tyler Conklin questionable. AVT and Morgan Moses both questionable. It's gonna be a crap of a game.
False information.
All right, well, let's get into it. Give me 1 second to share my screen. My audio might be delayed, so I'll let you guys do a little bit of the talking here. Just give me 1 second.
Speak up, Murph.
I was drinking. Sorry. All right. So Saturday, first game we got going on at 1:30 p.m. What a time. Browns at the Ravens. The 3-13 Browns at the 11-5 Ravens. That doesn't look good for the Browns, does it?
Did you hear who the Browns are starting at quarterback?
I did not.
Oh God, the ex-Patriot. I think he started the last game against the Jets last year. Bailey Zappi.
Really?
He's starting for the Browns. Yeah.
Bailey Zip on the ball Zappy, as that clown Connor on Pat McAfee would call him. Either way, unless the Ravens are benching everybody, that's the Ravens all day.
And I think the Ravens want to win, right?
Yeah.
Likely, yeah.
Well,
I think you see the spread.
Yeah, Baltimore. Holy shit! Wow.
What is it? 18 or something?
20.
Oh shit!
The over/under 41.5. That's kind of low.
That's like what, 30 to 10 or something.
Yeah.
It's hard to give up 20 points when the over/under is only 41.
Hey, picking an upset here is how you win the week, guys.
I'll go with the Ravens, thank you.
You know what, Dane? You have a point. But that's not a point I'm going with. I'm going Ravens.
I have a point, and the Browns will have 3.
Yeah. You may score more points than the Browns.
Hey, chat, you guys, you heard at the beginning of the show, y'all were just 1 or 2 off from us. So let's do it again. Who you guys got in this game? I'm assuming Baltimore,
We
but
got
you got to put it in the chat or you're not getting credit for it. Just put Baltimore or Cleveland. Go ahead, Murph.
Yeah, so Stack's got the Ravens. Jerry's laughing, so he must think it's not even a contest. I would say it's safe to say most people are going to have the Ravens there.
Yeah, I'm not even going to write them all down. I'll write down if someone does something weird like Snowball.
If somebody pulls a snowball, gotcha. All right, so continuing on for Saturday at 5 p.m. This is one to watch for sure. Playoff implications, seeding implications. The hot 8-8 Bengals are going to Pittsburgh to play the 10-6 Steelers, who have been reeling lately, absolutely reeling, and that's apparently been a thing lately. The last few years, Mike Tomlin's teams have started hot and fell off in December. So, but it's no longer December. So, what do you guys think? Spread is Cincy by 2.5.
I got Cincy.
I do too.
I'm going Steelers.
Nice.
Okay. We got we're straight up stack. We're just money line picking. Um, Jets worldwide. I'm assuming that's Snowball, but it could be Johnny. But I think it's Snowball. He's got the birds. He says. Jerry's got the Bengals. Stack Bengals. Snowball with Pittsburgh. He just likes to be different, doesn't he? Our good buddy. All right. I think most people have answered. So moving on to Sunday at 1:24. What is with these times? 1:25 p.m. Huh?
That's Pacific.
Oh. Oh, now it's making sense.
Yeah, you know where Dane is now.
Yeah,
They're my
I keep
so
forgetting what he advanced.
they're my favorite team
Dane
on
could go.
ESPN, so it automatically puts them above others. But after this, it'll go in time order.
Okay. So yeah, we're jumping to the 4:30 normal time, Eastern Standard Time game. It's our beloved Jets that love to just break our hearts. We are home, and the Dolphins are coming and visiting us. They're 8-8. We are a pitiful 4-12. Spreads Miami by 1. So yeah, Dolphins are going to beat us.
Jets, Jets.
I also am going Jets.
It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm gonna go Dolphins until we beat them. I can't pick otherwise.
I don't know if Aaron's playing the whole game, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that we fuck up our draft order.
That would be a very Jets thing to happen. Yeah. Jerry says the Jets by 9.
There we go.
He said 8.5 to be specific, but you can't score a half point. But that would be something the Jets would do.
I like it.
Snowball says he dares to be different. I don't have any other picks in here in the comments yet. Infrared, you're right. Burrow has been killing it lately. Past 4 weeks, he's destroying it. Only 360 from 5,000 yards. I didn't know that, Jerry.
Yeah, I did hear that, and I thought to myself, didn't one or both or all 3 of us think Burrow would get 5K this year?
I do think we had a conversation about that actually. Now that you mention it, I forgot. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, that's pretty wild.
He started slow.
Stack has us messing up the draft pick by winning.
That always Stack.
Scott said that in an optimistic way. Stack is like, yeah, we're going to win, but it's going to suck. All right.
The Jets front office can mess up the draft pick, not the players.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's a totally different front office that never messes up a draft pick ever again.
Well, it'll be different, that's for sure.
So rewinding back to the 1 a.m. games, we're going to go over to Atlanta. The Panthers are visiting the Atlanta Falcons. The Panthers are 4-12, like our beloved Jets. They are 1-6 away. It was something to be, take note of. The Falcons are 8-8, still potentially in the race for playoffs. There, the spread has Atlanta at 7.5.
Dude, I really want to see Bryce Young versus Michael Penix. Guilty pleasure there. I do want to see that.
Yeah, and people were kind of hyping up Bryce here lately, saying he's starting to get it together and he's starting to I don't believe it. I'm not on board yet.
I think Chuba Hubbard is on IR now too.
That is very notable. I'm going Falcons. Big Penix energy, man.
Yep, I'm going the team with the weird left-hander throwing the ball.
The Dirty Birds.
What's wrong with left-handers, Scott?
Nothing. They're just weird. But I like weird, Murph. Don't take it as an insult.
I like you too, Scott. That's it.
I got the Southpaw too.
Hell yeah. So Snowball, he's saying Falcons. He's not going weird today, or not this game at least. Jerry had the Panthers, but he also had Hubbard at 100 yards. So maybe he'll change his pick if he thinks a little more about it.
Who's getting the start for them at running back?
I don't even know their backup.
Jonathan Brooks is out too. What a sad story he is. So I don't even know. Deontay Foreman's still there? No.
I thought he was in Cleveland.
Yeah. So I can't tell you. I got too many tabs open, but
there's
it better be Adrian Peterson if they want to win.
Prime Adrian Peterson, pre-kid beating Adrian Peterson. Anyway, Jerry says that his penis is throwing 2 picks. I mean, I think he meant Penix is throwing 2 picks. I was gonna say it's pretty impressive, Jerry. Stack is going with the Dirty Birds. Kova was left-handed, even with a gun. Oh my goodness. Okay. The pen X mightier than the sword. Jerry still going Panthers. He changed his point total on there or whatever. Now he's saying Thielen's getting 100 yards. That's possible though.
It is.
That's very possible. I always did like Adam Thielen. Why didn't we bring him in?
I know. Instead of Lazard.
Eric Decker.
Yeah, new age Eric Decker. So next at 1 a.m. as well on Fox, we got the Commanders going out to Dallas. The Commanders are 11-5. It's a big shock for me. I didn't expect that at all. Dallas is 7-9, which is actually they have more wins than I thought they did. Dallas has not been very good at home. They're 2-6 at home. Washington is the winner of the spread. It is 6.5 for Washington, even though they're the away team. What do you think, fellas?
Washington.
Yeah. I want to say I'm going to go with the quarterback who I think got the most Pro Bowl votes for from the fans in the entire league playing in this game. And guess what? It's not Cooper Rush,
Yeah,
Washington.
yeah, yeah. The Cowboys better hope they can rush. Um, I don't know how you go anything other than Commanders here. It's hard to hate Jaden Daniels, isn't it? He seems
Yeah,
like
it
a
is.
likable dude.
Yeah, and he's at his best when the game's on the line.
Yeah,
Jerry, no, Lamb is chopped.
Lamb is chopped. Nice, nice. Um, they're looking a little more human over there in Dallas too. Without Lamb, what are we looking at now over there? There's not much. Michael Gallup, you know.
Cook,
I can't wait to watch Cooper Rush throw to Michael Gallup.
I don't think he's there anymore.
I think he is. Maybe he's not. I don't know.
Joey Galloway.
Cook is there.
The ghost of Joey Galloway.
Colbert.
Hey, from Bel Air, Ohio. I grew up 10 minutes from him. Joey Galloway. Shout out. Just a heads up, guys, in the chat. If we don't mention who you picked, it's fine. Just make sure you throw it in the chat because,
Hey, I got you, dude. I got it.
yeah. All right.
I'll,
Thanks.
I'll still watch out for it.
Didn't
I was wondering who's out for the Cowboys. You mentioned Lamb. I don't know who else is. Oh, he had Lamb was playing. Yeah, Lamb's out. Um, Stack Sam Washington. Jerry's going Cowboys. Wow. Commanders let down after last week getting in playoffs. Mm, that's a spicy one, Jerry. Jerry also wants some skewered lamb.
Johnny Boy, we just touched on this. Apparently, Scott reminded me we are playing at 4:30 so that we can play at the same time Denver and Kansas City plays because both of our Miami playing against us and Denver are fighting over the wild card spot, so they have to play at the same time. So that's why our game got delayed. Uh, that way, both games were still, you know. But that is why, and props to Scott who made me notice that.
Snowball, after his leak, decided Washington was the the winner there.
Oh, that's where he's been for 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah. Well,
melting.
you yeah, he's been leaking. A little warm out. Um, all right. So next, another 1 a.m. game on Fox. Apparently, we have the Bears visiting Green Bay to play the Packers. The Bears are 4-12. All that hype for nothing. The Packers are 11-5. The Bears, notably, are 0-7 on away games this year. Are they going to be 0-8? We'll see.
weren't the Bears 4-2 or something at one point?
Yeah, yeah. All
That
that
Hail
hype.
Mary, that Hail Mary killed them.
Ridiculous. Green Bay's got the spread at 10 points. Not a shocker there.
Packers.
Packers.
I think them and Washington can flip flop.
Maybe.
Yeah, Packers. I'm assuming they don't have their seating clinched up.
I think they could move up to 6 if they win, and Washington could drop down to 7 if they lose. So not a big difference, but
I'm with Snowball. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, that's oh man. Tough divisional game there, fellas. That division is crazy though. All right, so go Pack, go. Stack Green Bay. Johnny Boy uses his kids' diapers that are close to him so he doesn't have to go to the toilet.
that's
Fair.
smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as you just got to take a leak.
Maybe I should just keep a couple diapers near me. So,
You know?
got my 12 pack of beer, got a stack of diapers. Shit, we can go for 6 hours.
Ours.
Jerry says Packers as well.
He
Somebody
said
is
fudge
packing.
packers.
Somebody is packing fudge, apparently. Um, Johnny Boy is packing fudge into the diapers. Anyway, next game, another not 1 a.m., 1 p.m. game on CBS. We got the Texans that are 9-7 visiting the Titans that are 3-13. Big draft implications for for the Titans here, huh? They actually have the spread at Tennessee 1.5. See,
Yeah,
I thought I was gonna be spicy by picking Tennessee here too.
The
I don't
Texans
think-
must be. Are they cemented where there's no way that spreads 1.5 if the
I
Texans.
think the Texans have already announced they're sitting guys.
Based on the point total being 36.5, they got to be resting starters.
This is a tough pick then.
Tennessee for me.
It's Tennessee for me too. But even if they weren't resting the starters, that was going to be my little
Is it Levis or
swerve
Rudolph?
That was your upset.
Yeah, bastards.
Levis or Rudolph? It's Levis.
I can probably find out here in a second if I can find the damn game.
You know how you win these weeks? You go Texans here. I'm going Texans. And that's because they don't have Will Levis. I don't even know who's starting at quarterback for the Texans, but I'll go them. Only because I think it's a coin flip.
Stack says Rudolph, which
Rudolph.
gives them a better chance to win as far as I'm
I
concerned.
thought I got a notification on my phone that they were starting Levis, though, a couple of days ago. I don't know. This chat better be accurate.
I'm thinking it looks like the Texans are starting their starters.
Really? It's not what I heard. That's a bummer because I think I might have dropped Nico Collins.
The Titans.
Well,
The Titans benched second-year quarterback Will Levis after his 4 turnovers led to 24 points in a loss to Cincinnati. Veteran Mason Rudolph started the last 2 games, yet he couldn't help Tennessee snap a skid that is now 7 of 8. The lone win. Callahan announced Friday that Levis will start. And I could see him doing like one of them little Cinderella story type things. So yeah, I'm still going Titans. Play it. Johnny thinks it's going to be a tie. Both teams are equally going to be horrible there in Tennessee this Sunday. Snowball agrees with me with the Titans. So does Jerry. He's saying that Stroud's off too, but I didn't see anything about it in the preview on ESPN. Is saying that they're wanting to snap their losing skid. Stack saying Titans as well. But he audibly booed the fact that they're starting Levis over Rudolph. And I don't blame him.
I don't know. This might be the game that decides quite a bit of the rankings next week. Texans, I don't know if Stroud's starting or not. I'm still going Texans. Are you guys sticking? What are you doing again?
I'm sticking with the Titans.
Titans.
Okay. All right. Let's just move on then. There you go.
All right. Another 1 a.m. game on Fox. We have the Jaguars at 4-12 for the season so far, visiting the Indianapolis Colts. Notably, the Jags are 1-7 away. The spread is Indy by 4.
Flacco getting the start?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask. I have no idea who's starting that game. I can try to look it up real quick. Oh, wow.
I'm going Indy either way. I don't care who's starting.
So yeah, Lawrence obviously has been on IR. Anthony Richardson out.
Okay, it's official.
Flacco.
So Flacco versus Mac Jones. I think I'm gonna go Flacco there. I think the Colts are taking this.
Yeah, and I think they fire Peterson like less than 24 hours after this game.
Less than 20 minutes after the final press conference.
Colts for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Snowball, I see you. And Johnny. Wow, they're in
Yeah.
lockstep.
So Johnny and Snowball with the Jags. Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
Jesus, Jerry's getting spicy over there, it looks like.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ! Claw my chest, you bastard! Get off my lap if you want to do that. All right. Yeah, Levis going to go hard. Going to go hard in that jar of mayo. Um, Jerry's saying Flacco 300, Mac 250. Colts taking it. Infrared said Titans game's a trap game. Is it a trap game though if they're favored? I mean, oh man, Stack's going Colts. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna say Colts there, man. All right, another 1 a.m. game, CBS. The 13-3 Bills are up against our beloved 3-13 Patriots. We all love both of those teams. The Patriots, I mean, if you've only won 3 games, of course you're 1-6 at home. The spread is Buffalo by only 3, and I'm assuming that's because they're not.
So Josh Allen will start the game and play for a tiny bit, and then it's gonna probably be the Mike White show, who they activated off the practice squad.
Yeah. So point total low. Usually that point total at 36.5. That would indicate backups are playing. Um, I think that the Bills' third string could probably beat the Patriots' first string. So, yeah.
I think Mike White can beat him if he starts.
Dude,
I hope he does.
I'm a Mike White stan. Not
Same.
really.
Same.
A little bit, I guess.
I think he's a top 40 quarterback, as long as his coach isn't an idiot.
I miss when it was Mike Green and White.
New England.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Scott, what if that's the one that sets him above the rest? Oh man, I'll have to eat my foot. Wow, Johnny Boy thinks that Drake May is the future, and he's going with the Pats because of it.
You know, while I scroll down here, let me ask you a question. In your opinions, which AFC East team is furthest away from playoff contention?
Oof.
I'll say Patriots, but I could see it being the Dolphins going into next year.
You didn't even consider the Jets there, did you?
No.
I wouldn't expect anything like that.
I want to see what happens. I think the Jets can have a good team if they manage the offseason right. But are they going to blow it up? And, 100%? I don't know.
Alan, welcome to the chat, brother. I was sad to hear the news today that you're going to be off camera for a while. I hope you still come in and throw some shit in our chat because we appreciate you, bro.
What did they finally figure out? He's the Unabomber? What's the deal?
He's going to be working under Goodell in some capacity. He also says that 24 hours after the Pats game, they'll be hiring Vrabel.
It's fine.
I just don't. Listen, I respect your opinion there, Alan, but I don't see it, dude. I don't think they're going to give up on Mayo after 1 year. The Patriots haven't lost enough to know they're still stubborn about things. You know what I
They,
mean? Like they're not
I think
desperate enough yet.
they want to do the Pittsburgh model where you hire a coach
Yeah.
for 15, 20 years, man. Maybe that's a Vrabel, but I doubt it.
Well, and we don't know that Vrabel wants to even go there anyway.
Couldn't they have had him last year?
They could have. They chose Mayo.
Well, supposedly there was some promise about Mayo
Yeah.
after Belichick.
They
Now,
were, they were grooming Mayo to be the guy, and
yeah,
that's working out well for him. Jerry thinks Miami is the least likely to be in playoff contention in the future. Johnny Boy said the Jets because it's been 14 fucking years.
yeah, Johnny, finally a smart person.
All right. Well, Jerry's already moving on to the thing, so we'll move on to the next game. 1 a.m. The 3-13 Giants are
1 a.m. That's a weird start time.
Yeah, 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. I keep saying a.m. because it says a.m. on the screen. I hate you, Dane. All right. Anyway, so the 13-3 Philadelphia Eagles, they're favored by 2.5. Point total was 37.5. Sounds like they're benching people.
Yep.
And I think even benching people that they'll still beat the Giants.
What
So
if they don't?
Philly,
I'll laugh if Giants win the last two games.
Pick it. Let's go pick it.
You know, Scott, you got two upsets. I should say two picks that are contrasting to both of us. Murph got one and I got one. I'm going to stay at one. Eagles.
Yep. Same here.
still going Eagles. Jerry said Eagles. Drew Lock's throwing 2 picks. That is something notable. Drew Lock looks better than Tommy Cutlets and Daniel Jones.
Did you watch Drew Lock against Atlanta?
No. Why would I watch that?
I remember Scott was talking about how we shouldn't pick the Giants last week because of how Drew Lock should have been passed over for DeVito. And then he went out and threw 5 touchdowns.
Well, yeah, he was as good as he was that game. He was equally bad against Atlanta.
Yeah. You can't bet on him doing it twice in a row. Good,
Yeah.
Eagles.
Is he locked in or not? I guess
Yeah.
Is this pick a lock?
Yeah.
Anyway,
the Eagles are gonna pick it.
Just
see,
wanna
Alan's
shout
already
out-
getting people worked up over the Vrabel
Yeah.
stuff in the chat.
Jay was right though. A lot of teams could have had him last year. I feel like it was later in the cycle. Maybe I'm wrong, but they could have. Now he's the best coach in NFL history from a Jets perspective. What say you, Scott? Are we over promoting Vrabel?
No, I just think he's the best option right now.
Yeah. I mean, he might feel slighted by the Patriots for not hiring him last year. Who knows? It's hard to tell. We're not in these guys' heads. I just don't think they're getting rid of Mayo yet. I think they're giving him one more. I don't even think he'll last one more season. I think they'll probably fire him like halfway through the season next season, and regret that they didn't go after Vrabel. Snowball said that's a meaningless Giants win. Interesting. Snowball's back up to his antics. That's not too crazy though, because the matchups playing and stuff like that. But I don't know. All right, 1 a.m. Fox. the 5-11 New Orleans Saints are visiting the 9-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I've never seen so many 1 a.m. games.
I know. 1 p.m. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay's favored by 14.
I'll take the favorite.
Yeah.
I want to see Mike Evans get 1,000 yards.
Baker's going to be doing his thing, dude. Talk about being hot.
Yeah. How far away is Evans, Dane?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I will say that I wanted to kind of point out that I was kind of high on Jalen McMillan. Was it Jalen?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jalen McMillan. I was kind of high on him in the draft, and he's even exceeding my expectations as of late. So, yeah,
he's arguably been better than Adunze.
Yeah, you could argue that. I mean, he's got a better quarterback throwing to him, so that's one of the things. But he has stepped in place of Godwin and performed pretty damn well. So, yeah, good for them. That's one of them Washington boys that Penix was throwing to.
There was the third. I think he went to New England, maybe.
Polk.
Yeah.
That might be Jalen Polk.
Yep.
What the hell is McMillan's for? I don't know. It don't matter.
Jalen, Jalen. Polk, I think, is Jaylyn or something. It's both Jalen, though.
Oh, wow. That's a popular name in that generation.
Mike Evans is at 915.
85 more yards.
I'm sure they're going to try to make sure they get it, which good, because I got Evans in a money league still.
That's right. It is 1 a.m. somewhere. It will be 1 a.m. shortly. Snowball. Snowball's going Bucks. Stack went Bucks. Allen's still firing us up.
Allen did good last week, but he only picked like 6 matchups. So just a heads up, Allen, if you're not here long enough to do them all, just put the winners of every game in one message or something. You don't have to be it doesn't have to be live in real time, just so you get all your winners in the chat. Because I go back later and review the chat and find what people's choices were. But I scrolled down. You are good.
Yeah, I agree, Jay. It is a good week to make money. I'm gonna have to hop on old DraftKings tomorrow and throw some little sprinkles around. Baker needs 225 for 4,500 yards. I don't know if he's too worried about that. Like, if it was 5K, that'd be a different story. I don't know if he's too worried about 4,500. But I think he'll get the 225. He's been throwing that all year.
Yeah.
Johnny's going Bucks. My dog was doing something weird. All right, we'll move on to, finally, we're on the 4:30 a.m. I know, just kidding. PM games. The Chiefs and Broncos. This is a big one. The 15-1 Chiefs. That's crazy. We'd never see that as Jets fans. Versus the 9-7 Broncos. Big time playoff implications. The spread has Denver at 10.5. And that's because Carson Wentz is starting for the Chiefs.
I'm going Broncos. Should have beat them first time they played.
And so what is it? So if the Bengals win like we expect, the Broncos will be trying to win, and yeah, and there's no way. All right, Broncos.
Broncos will be trying to win no matter what.
Yeah.
Cincinnati does, because Miami's playing at the same time as them, so they won't know.
Yeah. Chiefs is where I'm going with this. I still believe that I don't care really who's a quarterback. I think Andy Reid will make some offense out of it, and I think the Chiefs take it, buddy. We got
if Cincinnati loses though tomorrow, the Broncos can pull everyone too.
No, because
Yeah.
what about Miami? If Miami wins and the Broncos lose, Miami jumps the Broncos.
That top one for Broncos is misprinted then, I think, because it says win or Denver, who is them.
Yeah, it must be Miami and Cincy lost.
Yeah. Okay, then I
Yeah.
stand corrected. Yeah.
Good job, NFL.
Yeah, what the hell?
Jeez Louise.
Shoot.
Oh
No
my
wonder
God.
they made this shit.
Who proofreads this shit?
Facts.
Anyway,
Facts.
that had me
Woo.
confused earlier, but I didn't say anything. Yeah, so we got Snowball says the Horsies are winning it. Johnny Boy says the Chiefs because the Broncos can just straight up suck it. Jerry has the Chiefs winning 5-3, safety and a field goal. If you nail that, Jerry, I'm gonna fly out to Australia and give you a big hug because I'm sprinkling money on that. No, Jay put all his picks in there. I'm not going to read them all off, but you might want to make note of that later, Dane. Infrared, Broncos all day. Chiefs are.
Boy, Red nose.
Yeah. Very clear about how he feels about the Chiefs. Allen says the Broncos win and then get smoked in Orchard Park. Yeah.
True.
If they win, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Jay, we were just talking to how bad we all want the Bengals to make it too, just to stick it to Mahomes and Allen. We're with you, man, but
Absolutely.
I think they rely on us beating Miami? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Which
where do you
isn't
fall
crazy.
there?
Like it could happen, but you know.
They beat them the first time they played.
I picked them solely because it's Aaron and Devontae's last week together. I really do. And it's home game. Like, you got to give the crowd one last shebang. And if it's not Aaron, then Tyrod, I think, will win the game, too. I think we win this one.
Yeah.
Will there be more Jets fans or more Dolphins fans at the game?
Considering
Here's
it's
the
a
thing.
MetLife, there better be more Jets.
I thought that the playoff implications would all be done before we played. I'm wrong. What I heard was that all the people with 4 wins will be wrapped up before us. So by the time we play, we could be looking at, if you win, we could go as high as second overall. And if we lose, we could drop, I don't know how far, but it might be a choice. Will
I think
it
you got the win and the loss backwards.
I feel like we picked sixth a lot, so it's probably gonna be sixth. Stack said Broncos. And now he's moving on to the next one. All right, 4:30 p.m. The 10-6 Chargers, congratulations on making the playoffs, you dirty bastards, are playing the Raiders.
Hey,
in
Murph,
Las Vegas.
Murph, do you remember who my preseason sleeper team was?
I'm assuming it is the Chargers.
I think it was the Patriots.
Yeah, it was the Chargers. And I will go with the Chargers against
Good
the Silver.
choice.
Yeah,
Good
I mean
luck.
that feels like an obvious one. I don't know if they're playing their guys though, but they're still on the spread at 4 points. So Raiders are just bad, man. So Chargers. Snowball saying the Bolts. Stack Chargers. Jerry Chargers. Johnny Boy saying the Chargers because the Raiders are butt pirates. Thank you for the information, Johnny. I wasn't sure about that, but now I know.
The R Raiders.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. Raiders. I think most people have answered. What's our next game, Dane?
All right.
4:30 p.m. The 9-7 Seahawks are traveling to LA to play the Rams, 10-6 Rams. Seattle is favored by 6.5 points.
Jimmy G starting for the Rams.
Is that
Yeah,
for the division?
I think it's over.
I think it's over, dude. Yeah, because point total is 38.5. So Jimmy G's playing. That's
I'm
interesting.
going to Seattle.
Gino really hasn't played all that good all year.
Seattle.
I'm going to go with the better coach team, and that's LA Rams. I think that's the difference there.
I'm hoping Charbonnet gives them fits, but I'm just who knows.
JSN, let's go.
Well, Johnny, Matt Stafford may be a dog, but he's not in the kennel today or Sunday. I mean, come on, folks.
Stafford's not been very good of late, Johnny, and he cost me some money last week.
Well, by dog, he meant like Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah, I know what he meant, but I'm just still.
Snowball wants the Seahawks to ram it up their poop chutes. So I'm assuming that means the Rams are winning that game. I agree, Snowball. They should ram it up their poop chutes. And Stack also thinks the Rams are taking it. So I guess we'll move on to the next game. I don't see any other picks coming in. 4:30 p.m. on Fox. The San Francisco 49ers that are 6-10. I don't know if anybody predicted that. Are playing the Arizona Cardinals that are 7-9. The battle of mid. Arizona is favored at 4.5 points. 42.5 total. What do you fellas think?
I will take Arizona.
You think Kyler and company are going to put it to him?
Cards.
This might be the biggest toss-up game in the whole thing. Well, other than the next one. I'm going to go Niners. I think that they still have a talented team. They got good coaching and stuff. I don't see them they're not going to keep losing. They'll win one more. What we got going on here?
I don't know if anyone's like. I imagine Trent Williams is still out. Like I don't think anyone's resting though. They're both eliminated. So
yeah,
Dobbs
they're playing for money at this point.
Purdy's not playing.
Does that change your mind, Murph?
No, because we've seen Shanahan use like any quarterback and have success. Jerry said the Seahawks, by the way. He must be getting caught up. And he also goes with the 49ers. Snowball is saying the Arizona Cardinals are taking it. Stack says the Birds are taking it. Johnny agrees because Connor, the Terminator, will terminate you. Okay, I think I'm caught up on that. Yeah. So I think the Niners are taking it, man. I don't know. Whenever I have a toss-up game like that, I go to coaching. And Shanahan's the better coach for sure, as far as I'm concerned.
A lot of people in 49er country are kind of over him.
Yeah. They're upset about their 6 or 7 win season. Those poor things.
Well, here's the interesting thing.
Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances or whatever.
He's been there 8 years. He's got 4 10-plus loss seasons in 8 years there. Now, he took over a team that wasn't all that, but I was surprised when I heard that.
Yeah, that first couple seasons was a wash. You can't really count that. He's also been to the Super Bowl twice, so he's got 2 NFC championships under his belt.
Yeah.
And a pretty tough division. That division has been pretty competitive the whole time that he's been there. The Seahawks have been tough. That was even back because they had Russell Wilson, there for a while, and they were tough then. Cardinals have been up and down. The Rams have been tough. I don't know. Yeah, they're probably over them, but it's just one of those things. Like,
it's a bad year. People want heads to roll on that.
They're not used to having a bad year. That's why I made the little joke, like, oh, they have their little 6 and 7 win season. Now they're upset. Oh,
Yeah.
poor things. Jay wants to change his pick to the Seahawks, by the way, Dane, if you are listening. We will move on to this next game. This is the game that everybody wants to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I will not be able to, watch the full thing. I'll probably fall asleep partway into it. But we have at 8:20 p.m. the Minnesota Vikings, 14-2 Minnesota Vikings. Who would have guessed that? Up against the 14-2 Detroit Lions. The spread is Detroit by 2.5. Point total is a whopping 56.5. I mean, we probably all expected that. Yeah, this is wild, man, because this has a ton of implications. Who's number one in the NFC? Because that's what this is.
That's my Viking horn sound thing.
Are you for real? I thought it'd be a sweep.
I'm going Vikings.
Yeah. That's tough.
Dude, I was a Lions homer before we all found out Allen was. Lions, man. I just love Jahmyr Gibbs, and I don't even care that dude. He's the most entertaining running back in the league for me to watch. I think he carries them yet again.
Yeah. So we got Allen, of course. He's on that Lions bandwagon, and I know that they, I understand that. Snowball with Lions as well. Jay is saying Vikings. He's with the skull.
That away, Jay.
Stack says the Lions. Jerry has the Lions. Johnny Boy has the Vikings because they got Mono Sam D, baby.
All right, Johnny.
Infrared sounds like he's saying that the Vikings might take it.
Yeah, he's a hard one, man. Going back through last week, there was several games that he either didn't he got sidetracked and was having a conversation. I'm like, man, I didn't get your pick. So Infrared, if you get a chance and want to throw any that you haven't clearly stated at the end, you feel free to do that, man.
He's several tall boys deep. He's just having a good time. That's all.
Yinglings.
The battle. What's up?
Yinglings.
Yeah, that's his drink right there. Alan says it's the battle of the stud Iowa tight ends. He would be the one to notice that for sure. I have been trying to bide my time because this is such a tough pick to make.
I've noticed.
Yeah. If you would have asked me 2 days ago, I'd have told you Lions, probably without even taking a second thought about it. But something in my gut is telling me that the Lions are just due for a loss. So
yeah, it might serve them better.
I'm gonna go with the second best chant in NFL, Sculp. I'm gonna go Vikings.
I thought it was Eagles, Eagles.
Christ.
Did you see what Ricky?
Too many letters, fellas.
Did you see what Ricky Pearsall did to the Lions last week? What the hell's Justin Jefferson gonna do to him?
And Addison, dude, Addison's fucking good too.
I know.
Even that Naylor dude's not bad.
And they got one of those shitty Iowa tight ends even. So
I mentioned it.
Hawk Tuason.
I mentioned at the start of the show that the top 6 people picking last week, us 3, Clancy, Jerry, and Stack had the most correct responses. But at the top, the tippy top, was you two. And we had a tiebreaker. I said, hey, if you want to boast, because it was before Monday Night Football, I said, if you want to switch to San Francisco, you can. But if you both stay Lions, I need to know how many points they win by. And I can't remember for the life of me right now who picked which and who won.
I did, Dane. I'll tell you. I had Lions by 3, and I think Murph had them by 13 or something, maybe
14. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will point out that my points were higher. Like they were closer to what the actual points were. I think I had the winning team at 38 and they scored 40 or something. It was something like that.
I wasn't asked to pick a score.
No.
You did pick a score.
I was asked to pick a spread.
I'm pretty sure you picked a score too. I don't know. You
know
won regardless.
The last drive of the game could have shifted it either way, I think. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
That, that Purdy getting hurt. I lost in the toilet bowl to Clancy by less than 1 point because I had Purdy playing quarterback and he didn't get to finish the game.
No, he didn't. So, Scott, you won that. So, we'll see. So, okay, knowing that, Murph, does it make you want to pick the Lions more since he went Skull or less?
No, I'm not that easily swayed, Dane.
Yeah.
Don't try me.
Good answer.
Don't bring me down into the gutter with you.
You know what, too? You guys had me by 1. I forget the one it was, but I think it was the Bengal game that went into like overtime. I'm like, shit, because that would have flip-flopped or something. I forget who they played. But...
They played Denver.
And you guys picked Denver, you must have?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah, I'd have to look at it again. But there was one game where it was like, that's all it takes, though. We talked about it. Texans, Titans, or Miami Jets, or Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. That's all going to sway things dramatically.
Yeah. Alan said that likely whoever went, or what do you say? Whoever loses this game has to play the Rams next week or the following first week of the playoffs.
I'll take either one of those teams over the Rams.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Rams are kind of like a sneaky, dangerous team.
I was feeling that way, but they're offensively, they've been shit for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyron hasn't been Kyron. Who did they go toe-to-toe with last year in the playoffs? Was that the Lions or the
Detroit? Yeah. Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough. That's tough.
I think the Bucks are going to be sneaky too in the playoffs.
So who did you pick on this last one, Murph?
What do you mean?
Lions or Skull?
I already told you, Vikings.
Thanks. I forgot. I missed that.
He's trying to
keep trying to sway my pick. I know what you're doing.
No, dude, I never would have dreamed I'd be the only one picking Lions. I will take that all the way to the bank. We'll see, though. Could be my death nail. Yeah. Yeah, okay, you saw that.
He's trying to play. He's trying to set it up to where he can play hooky Sunday.
I want to be Michael Jordan playing with the flu.
There's some visual entertainment for y'all.
Isn't that what Johnny was talking about? Something you doing
Ramming.
that up the poop chute?
That does sound like a Johnny thing, but I think it was Snowball.
No, that was definitely Johnny. Johnny's the only one ramming stuff up. Actually, no, he don't know nothing about the poop chute.
Yeah, he needs to learn.
I think
People don't get
Snowball
pregnant that
tailed
way.
him. Well, fellas,
Hey, Johnny,
any final takes? What?
Oh, I was going to
Okay,
ask Johnny if he saw something. The Wheel of Fortune. I put one.
That
Johnny
looked cool.
is first.
I saw that.
One of the.
That was a good show. Yeah, let me shout that out. If anybody didn't see Jets Worldwide from tonight, their pop-up weekly streams. I don't know if they're still pop-ups or whatnot, but come on, they're them and us are Friday nights. So if you're watching us and not them, or vice versa, what are you doing? Because it's typically
Absolutely.
good.
I mean, who doesn't want 8 hours straight of Jets content on YouTube?
Right.
I mean,
I want to tell Stack. Let me tell Stack. Stack, it was gone. Stack, it was gone, and it resurfaced today for whatever reason.
Resurfaced. I'm telling you, he's preparing to play hooky. Yeti dominated so much last week that now Scott's a little nervous.
He didn't dominate like I dominated. And he was playing a 13-year-old.
Why don't you guys talk to me when you get 4 in a row, okay?
You know what? I can't. This is the last one. I'm gonna be. It's the last one. They're ending it. They're doing the Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, I forgot they were going to change it up, huh?
So
okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, some records are made to never be broken.
That's right.
Let me ask you this.
Either way, they're going to be cutting off someone who's 2-0 who could have been chasing you.
Well, I think I beat that person once already, so it's okay.
Yeah, you did.
While we're talking about different shows, let me just say, if you're one of the 25-30% of people that are watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe, hit the bell. If you're the 1 or 2 people that come in and just hit dislike, then screw you.
Sorry, Dan.
Hey, yeah, I know, right? Whatever. Why hate on? If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping, right? But right. Black Monday is Monday. Are you expecting any unforeseen firings? Because people are already speculating who's Peterson and all these guys are going to get fired. Is there anyone not on the radar that does get shown the door?
Would you call Mike McCarthy not on the radar? Seems like he is to me. But I think he's going to survive if he wants to. He might walk away.
He might.
I will give you 2 potentials. I think that potentially Mike McDaniel could be out. And I think that that coach that I don't remember his damn name. Is it Gannon for the Cardinals?
No.
They might rid themselves of him too.
What about Pierce?
And I've heard whispers that Shanahan might, and I know the owners come out and said he's bringing both of them back, but
Nice snowball.
I've heard whispers him and I can't come up with the GM's name right now, but
John Lynch.
Lynch might not be seen eye to eye.
Well,
So-
they came out and said that Shanahan's coming back and Lynch, I thought.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh,
they have said that. Doesn't always mean that's how it works out, though.
true. What about Pierce and something with a T, Telesco? Are they both staying?
I'd be surprised if Pierce didn't get fired, but I hear their plan is for Tom Brady to rebuild the management there. Later,
I've been
Scott.
hearing
That's
A lot of-
interesting.
a lot of Tom Brady talk, and I chalked it up as you guys are just, it's a name and you're connecting dots, but like, is he really gonna have all this pull over there?
He's really like a minority owner. Like, is it that big of a? I don't know. I don't know. The one thing that's interesting, like the Raiders really fell for the bait with Pierce. Like, why did they do that?
I know.
That was so dumb.
I get it as an interim thing, but hire a real head coach after that.
Are they gonna fire him whenever they never even gave him a chance to like draft his own quarterback?
Yeah.
You know,
Dude, you got Brock Bowers too now. If you go get even a mid to above mid quarterback to go with him, you could be there 10 years and he's not going to get the choice or the chance, is he? I don't know though. If Dion wants him there, that could sway things. I don't know. There's so many things. What if Dion wants the job? What if
he
Tom
said he's
Brady?
not going to the NFL.
What
He
if
said
Tom
he's
Brady
not.
wants Vrabel there? Like, who the fuck knows, man? Unless you're in the know.
Yeah. Yeah. And how can Brady have that job and to be doing the game of the week every?
That's why I don't believe he's really this vocal, gonna rip up the studs and rebuild it. Like, he's gonna be the guy. I think he's a minority. I don't know.
Well, he is
Yeah,
a
man.
minority owner for sure.
Like, maybe he just says some stuff and they take it, or I don't know. Some people seem to think he's gonna be heavily making choices. I'm
That's
like,
what I've heard.
It's still up to Davis, right?
yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
he's open to being swayed because I mean, what he's doing isn't working.
Well, Brady needs to. At his first order of business he needs to get Mark Davis and take him to a proper barber shop and get him a real haircut that doesn't involve using a bowl.
Dude, that guy. Yeah, that's like John Gruden on steroids.
He's an odd fellow for sure.
Okay, does Gruden find a job? Does Rex find a job? Does Pete Carroll find a job? Does
No, and maybe.
Not Rex. I would say, yeah, maybe Pete Carroll.
okay?
Actually, that would be one that I could see the Raiders going after. I could see that for sure. Because Brady has respect for Carroll, for sure.
Yeah,
If you're including the Brady into it, but I don't know.
yeah. It's that. Honestly, Monday is gonna be kind of cool. Like from a fan standpoint, it is nice to see all the musical chairs that happen. We won't see seats filled, probably not, but we'll see them emptied for sure.
Hey, Dane, I just sent you a Brady related thing. You can share it if you want. It's pretty funny.
Oh, I
I don't
don't.
know,
Let me.
maybe.
It may or may not. I'll try.
Oh, yeah, maybe you can't. I didn't think about that.
Copyright and all that. And yeah. But I will check out. If anybody's interested, it's Nikki Glazer at the roast, and that was comedy, like gold star. I don't know what the word is, but
I didn't
Great,
see
right?
that coming. Yeah, I did not see that coming. Pretty funny.
She's hilarious. And she was in that roast hilarious. Okay, Allen got a take here. Ben Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury to the Bears. They do need an offensive mind there. They do. Cohen to Jacksonville. Glenn to New York. And I could see that too. On which of those offensive minds that doesn't go to Chicago, where do they land? And what do you guys think of this take?
I wouldn't touch Kingsbury.
Cohen
He's already
to
the
Jacksonville.
No, that's me. The guy's lost everywhere he's been.
Tell us
And
now.
As a head
tell us
coach,
how you really feel. Yeah.
no,
What do you think of
I
Glenn?
bet-
I think Glenn's a likely candidate for us.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I think there's better options out there.
Yeah. I think we're lucky. I think if we're as Jet fans, we should root for not a lot of firings on Monday.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah.
just remember that, guys.
Especially GM, because there's not many that are looking for a GM right now. Like what? One other team? Is there even another team right now looking for a GM?
I don't think they're. I think it's just us. And just
Not
to
at
bring
this
up.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we might have the pick of the litter.
We've interviewed some dudes.
That's good.
Jim Nagy is intriguing. The
He'd be
Senior Bowl
good for
guy.
he'd be good for the upcoming draft.
Mhm.
I
I
like
mean-
the idea of Nagy, but I don't like the idea of Nagy for us right now.
It's not like we didn't have a guy down there coaching them the last couple of years. Hey, it's produced some first round studs, but Malachi, no, never mind. I don't know if Corley was even there, to be honest, but
Can't remember.
all right. Well, one of the last images you'll see probably.
The hell is that?
I'm guessing a mob of Jets fans lynching Aaron Rodgers in his Packers uniform.
They're gonna ride him out of town, man.
Oh,
And,
I thought it was Gronk at first.
hey, I told you, man. One year, 2 million, or 1 year, 5 million. You could talk me into it. I think next year's crap anyway, man. I think we're
Yeah, they're not going
ways.
to find someone better to play quarterback for next year.
Nah,
Someone cheaper, sure.
maybe. I mean, if he really wants another year, maybe not even cheaper. How about that?
Right.
I like the idea of pairing him and Vrabel together.
And then maybe drafting a young quarterback.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, people don't understand. If we get Vrabel, he's gonna be paying the dead money whether Aaron's here or not.
Yeah.
So why don't you just cut Aaron, and then you have a choice. Okay, spend 10 to 20 million on anyone, or just Aaron, who's 5 mil less, 10 mil. Like, then, yeah, I don't know. People, whatever. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's going to make for an interesting offseason.
One thing to keep in mind is he reiterated he didn't really have an off season last year, so this spring is going to be his first spring really away from football. He may like it more than he remembers being away.
True. For his sake, I kind of halfway hope he just retires, rather than get beat up for another year and have people telling him he sucks. And
Yeah.
But boy,
These have been the best 2 years of his life.
yeah.
The inverse of mine.
Exactly. All right. I'm checked out, buddy.
Yeah. Good night, Chad. Good night, Scott. Daniel.
Good night,
We got
everybody.
football tomorrow, man.
Night, fellas.
Sir, one
Catch you
last
next week.
Yep.
Go Ducks. Oh, wait. That dream's over.
It's too soon, man.
Dream's over.
Later. Too soon. The Ducks are the Jets and Ducks the past week. Not good to be a fan of both. Good night.
You're in the danger zone.
I love the show. I love you guys. Fucking let's go Jets. Jets, Jets.
No, I'm beating you with my mind. And I can still dominate, I think.
Dane, you're a legend, bro.